Chapter 4483. Everyone could tell that Lu Yen was purposely making things difficult for him. But the problem was that Xiao Fei was willing to let her make things difficult for him. She thought that he wouldn't have time to prepare a ring. To her surprise, Xiao Fei took out a small red velvet box from his pocket. Then he slowly opened it in front of everyone. What else could it be other than a pigeon egg? The size of the diamond was big enough to buy a luxurious mansion in this city. Under the light it was very dazzling. Fuck, where did you get this? Did you buy it from a roadside stall? Lu Yan's jaw dropped. I never buy jewelry from roadside stalls. Lu Yan asked casually and didn't expect Xiao Fei's answer to be so serious. Did you borrow this from my sister and brother-in-law? Lu Yan continued to interrogate him. No, I asked a famous craftsman to make this ring when I was in Italy. When I was looking for you, I carried it with me, thinking that if I found you one day I would propose to you. Isn't this the opportunity? To be honest, everyone knew what kind of person Xiao Fei was. This guy was never glib and didn't know how to sweet-talk girls. It was precisely because of this that every word he said carried weight. Lu Yan was really touched. Looking at the ring, she felt like something was about to fall out of her eyes. I have the flowers, the ring, and you. Yan, can you accept my proposal now? I'll think about it. Lu Yan looked up, afraid that her tears would fall and embarrass herself in front of her family. So, she pretended to look up at the ceiling and consider it. Ouch, my knees hurt from kneeling. No, I'm getting up. Then Xiao Fei pretended to get up, but Lu Yan scolded him. Don't get up. What? You didn't say yes to me? What I've done is useless. Then why am I kneeling here? You said you were thinking about it, but you were just thinking about how to reject me. Forget it, forget it. After this meal, I'll go back to Russia. Damn it. I accept your proposal, okay? Lu Yan couldn't sit still anymore after Xiao Fei's words. In a hurry, she agreed to his proposal. Ah, you really agreed? Yes, really. Everyone heard it. Uncle Lu, sis, brother-in-law. You're all important witnesses. You have to testify for me. I'm just afraid that Lu Yan will go back on her word after she leaves. That won't happen. We'll all be your witnesses. Wamin said with a smile. Excited, Xiao Fei stood up and put on the pigeon egg for Lu Yan. This meal was also very meaningful. After dinner, the professor went to the study room. No one knew what he was studying, but he didn't tell anyone. No one dared to ask. Xiao Fei and Lu Yan went for a walk in the back garden. On the other hand, Qin Chu and Huamin sat in the attic on the top floor, looking at the starry sky and chatting. Honey, why do I feel like I haven't watched the stars with you in such a long time? Yeah. Even though Su Yu said that we haven't been apart for a single day in the real world, we've been apart for almost 2 months in the dream. I almost couldn't take it anymore. Don't talk nonsense. How can you not take it? We've been through so much together, but we still got through it, right? Yeah. Nothing can stop us. Qin Chu kissed Huamin's head gently, giving his wife the greatest tenderness. Honey, yeah? Tang Chuan and the others are coming back tomorrow. Will the kids come back? Huamin suddenly asked. Honey, did you forget that the kids are fictional? Yeah. Even if they're fictional, I still want to see them. I miss my kids so much. Huamin curled up in Qin Chu's arms and whined pitifully. Chapter 4484. It's good to meet them. I didn't intend to stop them from coming back. Really? Huamin was happy to hear that the 2 children were back. However, when she turned around, she immediately realized. She leaned into Qin Chu's arms and said faintly, Honey, you asked them to come back. Did you include them as dream creators? Yes. Qin Chu never lied. Even though he knew that Huamin might be sad to hear this answer, he still admitted it. Sure enough, Huamin's eyes dimmed slightly when he heard this. Honey, I know your analysis is right. It will be extremely difficult to find the remaining 2 dream creators in our group. I think that those 2 dream creators have been in the dream for so long and no one has discovered any clues. They must have hidden themselves very well and are very similar to their real selves. So, if we want to find them, we have to start with fictional people. Suyu has seen our daughters in the real world, so Pudding and Little Bean are definitely not real. They might be fictional or they might be dream creators. Yes. Qin Chu nodded. Don't worry, honey. They're not the real Pudding and Little Bean anyway. Once I find out that they're dream creators, I'll get rid of them. Huamin steeled his heart and felt that he couldn't be soft-hearted anymore. Everyone's lives were hanging by a thread. Although they had already killed 2 of them, there wasn't much time left for the rest of the group. Mian, have you talked to Suyu alone since you came back? No, why? Are you jealous? Huamin smiled. She rubbed her cheek against the tip of Mr. Qin's nose. No, I just think that Suyu is a little strange. Why? Do you suspect him? Huamin was stunned. He didn't expect Qin to say that Suyu was a little strange. I'm not suspecting him. I just feel that Suyu is hiding something from us. Of course, it's definitely not something that's disadvantageous to us. I have a feeling that Suyu's return this time won't be that simple. Of course, I'm not doubting his character and he won't hurt us. It's another reason. Qin feeling was very accurate, but he still wasn't confident, so he didn't dare to guess. I understand. Huamin was very smart. After hearing Qin words, he immediately understood what Qin meant. Then when everyone's here tomorrow, I'll talk to Suyu. Alright, have a good talk with him. Tell him that if there are any difficulties, everyone should face them together. Don't do anything stupid. Okay, I will. The night passed quietly in the dream. The next morning, Suyu led everyone to the entrance of South Hill Manor on time. Other than Tang Chuan, Qi Ning and the twins, everyone else was here. Zhu Lingling was very enthusiastic when she saw Huamin. She ran over and put her arms around Huamin's neck. Be careful, Mom. Auntie Huamin is pregnant. Gao Buyuan reminded her in a low voice. Haha, you little brat. You're worried about us, aren't you? You're worried about your future brother-in-law in her belly? Gao Buyuan, Uncle Qin, when are Pudding and Little Bean coming back? Our Buyuan misses Little Bean so much. Gao Ran patted Buyuan's head and said to Qin with a smile. Chapter 4485. Tonight's Flight. Not many people knew about Little Bean and Pudding, so he didn't tell them one by one in case they felt uncomfortable. It was as if in the real world Rick's wife, Cece, hadn't given birth yet. However, in the dream she had already given birth to a daughter and named her Little Jean. Suyu couldn't bear to say any of this. Other than the dream and the dream creator, Suyu and Qin didn't mention anything else. From today onwards we'll be living together. If there are any difficulties, we'll face them together and try to go back as soon as possible. We're still missing one person, Jiang Xiaowei reminded everyone after looking around. Zhu Lingling didn't seem to react. Everyone knew that Tang Chuan, Qin Ning, would bring Qin parents and Qin daughters back tonight. Jixin, Bella and Auntie Yang, Jiang Xiaowei said. As expected of a psychology doctor, she was very meticulous. The people Jiang Xiaowei mentioned were indeed not present. It's like this. Bella hasn't woken up yet? Jixin is worried, so he continued to accompany her in the hospital. As for my mom, she hasn't been feeling well recently, so my husband hired an auntie to take care of her. He plans to bring her over when the children come back later, Huamin explained. That's good too. Jiang Xiaowei nodded. Actually, Jixin, Bella and Yang Mirong didn't come. There was only one reason. Suyu didn't have time to interact with the three of them in the real world. Therefore, he wasn't sure if the three of them had entered a dream or were still in the real world. This meant that the three of them were very suspicious. They could be dream creators or they could be fictional. It was more likely that they had entered a dream themselves. There were too many uncertainties, so Qin planned to isolate the three of them and observe them carefully. Since everyone is here, let's start preparing the food. We'll have a good lunch, Huamin said and instructed everyone to get to work. Qin and Rick were talking in the study. Cece was watching TV on the sofa in the living room with the baby in her arms. Buyuan and Wei Yunchu were running back and forth in the house. The others were busy washing vegetables and cooking, and the professor went out to get some fresh air. Lu Yen and Xiao Fei were playing close combat on the hillside of the castle. Perhaps no other couple was like them, bored and had nothing to play with. To actually engage in something like close combat, it was really a different kind of mood. You've interacted with those two perverts, Ian and Levis. Do you think they're dream creators? Lu Yen asked Xiao Fei. Xiao Fei shook his head. Brother-in-law said that the dream creator will be hiding around us. Ian and Reeves are probably made up, so it's unlikely that we'll lure them into the dream. After all, they're far away. Lu Yen nodded and wrapped a red bandage around her hand. I haven't practiced boxing in a long time. My body is especially tight. Help me loosen up my muscles. Yes, Your Majesty. On the lawn in front of the door, Huamin was watering the lawn with a watering can. Suyu hurried over and snatched the watering can. Oh my God. What time is it? You're already like this. Why are you still watering me? Give it to me, go rest. It's not that serious. I'm just pregnant. I'm not terminally ill. Huamin was amused. That won't do. Be good and rest. Let me do what you want. Suyu? How did you come back this time? Huamin asked from behind Suyu. My master sent me in. Didn't I tell you that I have an expert as my master? Then, you came back so easily? Was there no price? Huamin asked him tentatively. Su Yu's body stiffened slightly when he heard that. Chapter 4486. Strange. You asked that. My master is so powerful. He's not someone to be trifled with. Do you think my master is one of those swindlers? Who have I, Su Yu, ever admired in my life? If my master wasn't capable, would I believe him? And would I be willing to kowtow to him? So, Huamin looked into Su Yu's eyes, trying to find some flaws. That's why I came back so smoothly. To my master, these are all small matters. Since they're small matters and your master is so powerful, why didn't he come into the dream and help us find the dream creator? Why did he make us look for him ourselves? Huamin's logical thinking was always very strong, so he asked a very sharp question. Su Yu stopped watering and placed the kettle on the ground. Then he smiled and replied, I've asked my master the same question, but my master said that the dream creator didn't pull him into the dream. If he wins and barges in, it will take some time. If the dream creator attacks you guys, it will be too late. That's why I came back to tell everyone the truth about the incubus. Other than that, is there anything else you're hiding from us? I have an extra amulet and prayer beads than others. Does that count? Su Yu smiled cheekily. You know that's not what I'm talking about. I really don't have anything else. Swear, don't lie to me. Huamin had never been a strong person, but for Su Yu to tell the truth, he even used such a vulgar and old-fashioned method like swearing. I swear I'm not lying to you. If I'm lying to you, I'll... Before Su Yu could finish, Huamin interrupted him. Of course, she didn't really want Su Yu to swear, so she didn't want him to swear something inauspicious. Okay, stop it. I believe you. I say, Dr. Hua, don't you know what kind of person I am? Are you that suspicious of me? Su Yu smiled as he approached Huamin. In fact, every time he could look at her seriously, Su Yu would feel something called happiness flowing in his heart. Huamin was not used to Su Yu looking at her so closely. He also felt a little embarrassed. I know you too well. That's why I'm afraid that you're hiding something from us on purpose. Then you'll be silly and not say anything. You'll bear it all by yourself. We're a team and we don't want to be heroes. We just want everyone to get out safely. Do you understand? I know. Dr. Hua, ever since you got pregnant, you've become more indecisive. You still dare to complain about me? Huamin picked up a leaf and threw it at Su Yu's head. Then she couldn't help but sigh. Actually, it's pretty good in the dream. It's probably still winter in the real world. How can I see so many flowers and plants? Only in the dream can I have everything I want. What? You still don't want to go out? Why would I? I can't wait to go out. I don't want to stay here for another second. Yes, you definitely will. Qin Chu and I will come up with a plan tonight. We'll see how to find the remaining two, and take them down in one fell swoop. Okay, I'll be more assured if you two handle this. Huamin nodded and rubbed her belly out of habit. I really hope I can see the little guy soon. After he's born, he'll definitely be more powerful than Neza. After all, he's been through so much with his mother. Su Yu was half joking. Then when he comes out, you'll be his godfather? Huamin suddenly asked. Chapter 4487. No. I don't want to be a godfather. Huamin rolled her eyes at Su Yu. What? Do you despise my son? Of course not. I don't dare to despise him. I'm just afraid that the twins will be jealous. They're so close to me, but they didn't even acknowledge me as their godfather. Qin Guogua isn't even born yet, but he already acknowledges me as his godfather. I'm afraid that the twins will cause a scene. Su Yu shuddered at the thought of the twins being jealous. Su Yu's love for the twins was no less than Qin Chu's. He had done enough for the twins over the years. Anyone would be touched, even if they had a heart of stone. After hearing Su Yu's explanation, Huamin smiled slightly. That's easy. Let the three of them acknowledge you as their godfather. That's even worse. I'm so young and haven't even gotten married. If I'm called Daddy first, will I still be able to find a wife in the future? You don't want me to be a bachelor for the rest of my life, do you? After saying that, Su Yu couldn't help but laugh. Huamin didn't laugh. She looked at Su Yu with a serious expression and then approached him. She reached out her hand and plucked the leaf from his head. Her movements were very gentle. Then she said in a very low voice, How could I want you to be a bachelor for the rest of your life? Su Yu, do you believe me? In this world, no one wants you to be happy more than I do. Really, no one else? These words made Huamin's eyes instantly turn misty. Huamin dared to say that she wanted Su Yu to be happy more than Lady Su, Mr. Lord Su, and the others. If Suyu could find his own happiness, she would be the happiest person in the world. No one knew how much she owed Suyu. She definitely wouldn't be able to repay him in this lifetime. If she didn't sacrifice her life, she would never be able to repay him. Even if she sacrificed her life, she still wouldn't be able to repay him. This was also why when Suyu was kidnapped and Huamin was about to give birth, she stepped forward to save Suyu. Because to her, she would rather die with her child than let Suyu die. Because if Suyu died, she would never be able to repay all the favors she owed him in this lifetime. The Buddhist scriptures said that people's lives, the debt of gratitude in this life, could be repaid in the next life. However, Huamian was an impatient person. She felt that they were lying when they said that they would give birth in the near future. Who knew if there would be an afterlife? Therefore he had to return it in this life. Hey, look at you, I was just joking. Why did you take it so seriously? I'm really not used to you being so serious. Don't worry. I'm handsome, have a good figure, and have an endless amount of money. In Sea City I can call the shots. It won't be difficult for me to find a wife. I won't stay single, I'm not a monk. Ah, don't cry. Once you cry I'll feel guilty. If others see this, they'll think that I'm bullying you. In order to make Huamin happier, Suyu pretended to think about the future. In fact, he knew in his heart that from the moment he entered the dream for the second time, there was no future to speak of. However, he would never let Huamin know about this. As for when Huamin found out in the future, he might not be here anymore. At that time, it would be enough as long as he didn't see her heartbroken with his own eyes. Did they call him great? Savior? No, he was never great, nor was he a savior. Master Wu was right. Instead of saying that he came back to save everyone, he came back to save these friends. It would be more accurate to say that it was for Huamin. Suyu only had one woman in his life that he wanted to protect. How could he let anything happen to her? Okay, when you get married, I'll definitely give you a big gift. Huamin smiled through her tears. Chapter 4488. Really? How big is the gift? You can have it as big as you want. Haha, can I have GK Corporation? Sure, I'll give it to you. You're so generous. Forget it. I don't dare to accept it. I'm afraid Chinchu will kill me. My husband isn't that unreasonable. I'll give you whatever you want, even if it's my life. Huamin said. Look, here you go again. Didn't we agree on a joke? I'm not going to chat with you anymore. People like you can really kill a conversation. I'm hungry, let's go eat. Suyu then picked up the kettle and turned to leave. Huamin stood where he was and didn't move. Chinchu was right. Suyu was indeed hiding something from them. Although he refused to admit it, his eyes couldn't lie. Suyu naturally tried his best to hide his panic and emotions. However, Huamin knew Suyu too well so he could still see the clues. If Suyu didn't say anything, there was no way to find out. Huamin planned to tell Chinchu about the situation before going to bed at night and make plans. In the dream at the first hospital. As usual, Jixin went to the cafeteria to get food and returned to the ward with it. Then he sat by Bella's bed and ate while looking at her. He hadn't been to South Hill Manor since his sister came back. His brother-in-law called several times but he didn't say anything. Huamin briefly told him about the dream on the phone. However, with Jixin's brain, it wasn't that fast. He still couldn't believe that everything he was experiencing was just a dream. Jixin looked at the rice and grilled eggplant in the lunchbox. He wasn't in the mood to eat. His happy family was all because of Bella's accident, his mother fell ill and his father went missing. The series of blows already made him somewhat unable to cope with it. Before, he went to work at the company and came to take care of Bella after work. Later, when Chinchu saw how listless he was, he asked Qin Ning to help out at the company. When Qin Ning wasn't around, there was still Assistant Yang and some of the higher-ups. Therefore, Jing Jixin placed all his heart on his wife. Bella was a bit older than Jixin and was a mature woman. She was shrewd, bold, and capable. She was the backbone of GK. He was also a trusted aide of Chinchu and Huamin. In fact, both Jixin and Huamin knew what was going on. Bella was wrong to marry Jixin. After all, whether it was in terms of appearance, figure, ability, or personality, Bella was clearly superior. Everyone in the company thought that Jixin was chosen because he was Chinchu's brother-in-law. Huamin's younger brother. Huamian knew Bella wasn't that kind of person despite the nepotism. She had chosen Jixin because they had spent a lot of time together in the company. A strong-willed woman naturally couldn't find a strong-willed husband. The couple's personalities had to complement each other. It was good to use softness to overcome hardness. Otherwise they wouldn't get along. Therefore, although Jixin's talent was average, he was an honest and reliable person. He would do his best to complete whatever he was told. In short, he wasn't that outstanding, but he was still average. He was just an ordinary person with ordinary looks and ordinary abilities. The reason why he was able to live in a mansion, drive a luxury car, and marry such a good wife was indeed because of his sister. Jishin was well aware of this. After they got married in a low-key manner, Jishin doted on Bella a lot. He basically listened to her and cared for her. Thinking about the sweet scenes between the two of them in the past, Jishin felt a little sad, and tears almost came out again. Jishin? A familiar voice came from the hospital bed. Jishin was so scared that he trembled, thinking that he was hallucinating. Chapter 4489. He took a closer look and saw that it was indeed Bella on the hospital bed. Honey, you're awake? Bella's sudden awakening made Jishin so excited that he couldn't speak clearly. Jishin. I'm thirsty. Bella's eyes were a little unfocused and her voice was very muffled. Fortunately, Jishin heard her clearly. He quickly got up and poured a glass of water for Bella. Here, honey, drink with a straw. Jishin carefully held the glass and fed Bella the water. After drinking the water, Jishin rushed out like a gust of wind and shouted, Doctor, nurse, come and take a look, my wife is awake, she's awake. Jishin had been here for a long time and everyone knew him. Upon hearing that Bella was awake, the doctors and nurses on duty all came to this ward. In an instant, the ward was filled with people. Dr. Kong, how's my wife? After a long examination, the doctor shone a flashlight into Bella's pupils, looking very professional. It's a miracle. Your wife is basically fine. I suggest that she stay in the hospital for a few more days for observation, and then we'll decide what to do next. Okay. We'll listen to you. Thank you, Dr. Kong. Jishin was as happy as a child, almost dancing with joy. After the doctors and nurses left the ward, Jishin took out his phone and was about to make a call. What are you doing? I'm calling Mom and Sis to tell them that I'm safe. They must be overjoyed. You have no idea how worried everyone was about you when you were unconscious. Don't be in a hurry to call. Jishin, come here. Bella waved her hand and asked Jishin to sit on her bed. Okay. What can I do for you, honey? Just tell me. Even if you want to eat Tang Seng's meat, I'll get it for you. Jishin held Bella's hand and kissed it. But strangely, Bella's hand was very cold. He quickly used his own hand to warm her hand. Then he breathed out, Jishin, did anything happen while I was unconscious? Yes, a lot of things happened. I don't know where to start. Anyway, there were a lot of things. My sister got into trouble and my brother-in-law was also worried. Fortunately, they all came back safely. Alright, my sister also said that what we are experiencing now is a dream and not the real world. She also said that she would tell me in detail when she has time. I don't really understand. Oh, I see. Bella nodded and looked down. No one knew what she was thinking. What's wrong? What? It's nothing. I'm a little tired. Don't call Mom and Sis for now, just keep them company. How could Jishin refuse Bella's request? He immediately bent down in front of the bed. Sure. As long as you're fine, I'll do anything. Bella raised the corner of her mouth and smiled, but she didn't say anything. In the evening, South Hill Manor welcomed the last batch of guests. Tang Chuan and Qi Ning's return with the twins made everyone very happy. However, no one noticed that Qin Chu and Huamin had strange looks in their eyes when they looked at the child. Daddy, Mommy? We're back, Little Bean said with a smile. Handsome Su, did you miss us? Pudding glanced at Suyu and asked. If it was in the past, everyone would definitely treat the child well. They were afraid that the child would melt in their mouth and be afraid that the child would fall out of their hands. But now, Suyu, Qin Chu, and Huamin all thought of an important question. Linya was dead, Ling was dead, but the fictional twins were still alive? When the dream creator died, the things she created would collapse. Messiah, Layla, and Granny all collapsed one after another. The twins were still alive, which meant that the dream creator who created them was not dead. Or was the dream creator hiding among the two children? This terrifying thought made the three of them shudder. Chapter 4490. Of course I missed you guys. Suyu remained calm. No one could tell what was going on. Pudding, did you have a good trip? She didn't know when Wei Yunshu had walked over to Pudding. Huamin immediately pulled Pudding away from him. After all, the twins might be a ticking time bomb in the dream. Wei Yunshu and Gao Buyuan might be in the dream themselves. Since everyone's here, let's eat. I've prepared hot pot for everyone. Ning, don't you like the spicy hot pot from Sichuan? Huamin looked at Qin Ning with a smile. Qin Ning leaned on Huamin's shoulder like a spoiled child. Thank you, sis-in-law. Okay. Let's eat. Mommy, I heard that Auntie and Grandpa are here too. Where are they? Little Bean asked Huamin eagerly. I'm here. Everyone looked over and saw Lu Yen and Xiao Fei, who had just returned from a stroll. Pudding and Little Bean immediately ran up to them. Andy, we missed you so much. Andy misses you guys too. Come, let me take a look. Oh my god, our Little Bean has gained weight. Her face is so round. Where's Pudding? She seems to have grown a lot taller. It hasn't been long since we last met, but you two have changed a lot. Hee, the two of us eat and drink well. It's not strange for us to grow fat and tall. Auntie, you're still so beautiful. Wooly, Auntie is the most beautiful woman in the world. I've never seen such a beautiful woman. Auntie, you should go to a beauty contest. Little Bean always liked to flatter and kept complimenting Lu Yen. Of course, Lu Yen knew something was up with the twins. But in this situation, no one wanted to expose them. They wanted to continue playing along with them and see if they could expose any flaws. Haha, you little brat. You're such a sweet talker. Pudding, I heard you made a lot of money in the stock market. How about it? Do you have enough money? Do you want me to sponsor you? Lu Yen reached out and patted Pudding's head. It's okay. I have enough money to play with. Auntie, I heard you accepted Uncle Chiao's proposal? As soon as Pudding said this, everyone turned to look at her. Anne's expression froze. Ah, you're quite well informed. How did you find out so quickly? Yeah. Your wedding is a big deal. Little Bean and I must be your flower girl. Okay, my little flower girls. Ha, I'm afraid you two are the most expensive flower girls in the world. Lu Yen beamed. Xiao Fei smiled as he watched Lu Yen talk to the twins. Pudding, Little Bean, that's enough. Stop clinging to Auntie. Go upstairs and check on Grandpa, Huamin reminded them. Okay, Mommy, we'll go now. The two children jogged all the way to the study upstairs. Let's get ready to eat. The restaurant can't fit so many people. So you and I will be in the back garden. Prepare 2 tables, one for the men and one for the women. Chinchu said. Big brother, you're so considerate. Aha, I've been craving for hot pot these days in the States. Nothing tastes good over there. Qin Ning held onto Chinchu's arm and acted like a spoiled child. Qin Ning and Tang Chuan were the only 2 people who didn't know it was a dream. When they came back, Huamin and Chinchu didn't have time to say anything. Lord Su, did you miss me? Tang Chuan imitated a girl in a perverted voice and reached out his hand to touch Su Yu's chest. This caused everyone to burst into laughter. Chapter 4491. Su Yu pushed him away. Pervert, stay away from me. Haha, don't be so cruel to me. You don't know how much I miss you in old Wei Liao. Thank you. I don't need you to think about me. I'll be thankful if you don't cause trouble for us. Tang Chuan, what are you talking about? When did I cause trouble for you two? When we were young, I was always the first to rush up and protect you two. Idiot, have you forgotten? Wei Liao, idiot, we didn't forget. You rushed up because you were the first person they wanted to hit. If you didn't rush up, you would definitely be at a disadvantage. Don't make it sound like you've sacrificed a lot for us. Tang Chuan, old Wei, your words are so disappointing. Do you remember that time when we went to steal fruits from an orchard in the suburbs and the fruit farmer's big wolf dog rushed out? You were so scared that your legs cramped and I had to carry you on my back? Wei Liao, you have the cheek to mention this to me? Damn it, why don't you think about why my legs cramped? It's because you couldn't reach the fruit when you were picking it, so you rode on my neck. Your bear-like body pressed down on me until I couldn't breathe and then I sprained my ankle. Ah, how much dirt do you two have? Jiang Xiaowei laughed so hard that her stomach hurt when she heard her husband's embarrassing childhood story for the first time. As a participant, Su Yu didn't say a word and just watched from the side. Actually, Su Yu wasn't just observing if there were any discrepancies in their memories. After all, dream creators could share their memories. Su Yu was observing the micro-expressions of Tang Chuan and Wei Liao when they were talking about these things. All these years, the 3 of them had grown up together and knew their habits too well. Therefore, micro-expressions couldn't lie. Su Yu observed for a long time, but neither of them had any flaws. Therefore, Su Yu was very pleased. Could it be that both of them could be cleared of suspicion? If that was the case, it would be great. Otherwise, if the dream creator appeared between Wei Liao and Tang Chuan, with Su Yu's relationship with his 2 buddies after so many years, it might really be difficult for him to make a move. Thinking of this, Su Yu secretly sighed in relief. Lord Su, come here. Be the judge. When I was young, didn't I protect the 2 of you many times? Tang Chuan dragged Su Yu into the battle. Su Yu raised his head and touched his neck. He sighed exaggeratedly. Hey, let's not talk about our childhood. After all, it's all in the past. But now, Mr. Tang, you're prioritizing women over friends. Ever since you got married to Qi Ning, we've barely seen you. Tell me, how many times have you been to the US in the past year? Wei Liao, yes, tell me about it. Tang Chuan, not many times, ha. Wei Liao, shameless, how dare you say it's not many times. Fuck, that passport of yours has more seals than Tang Seng's. They're all from the US, how dare you not have them? Tang Chuan, ha, then why are you stopping her from fulfilling her duties? Su Yu, is that considered fulfilling your duties? You're accompanying your daughter-in-law to see your father-in-law? Look at how useless you are. You're a typical henpecked husband now. You're no longer manly. Now you're like an obedient husky following Qi Ning obediently. Wei Liao, no, I should say that he's a teddy bear now, sticking to Qi Ning. Tang Chuan rolled his eyes at the two of them. Are you done yet? You're addicted to teasing me, right? Is it fun? As they were chatting, Qin Chu suddenly dragged Su Yu out. What's going on? Su Yu, I have to go to the hospital. I feel like something has happened there. Qin Chu's expression was serious. Chapter 4492. What happened? Seeing the rare anxiety and seriousness on Qin Chu's face, Su Yu knew that something was wrong. I've been arranging for people to lurk in the hospital, but now I've suddenly lost contact. When did this happen? An hour ago. Then call Jixin. Isn't he in the hospital? I can't contact Jixin on his phone either. That's so strange. What about Mion's mother? Any Yang? Su Yu looked at Qin Chu. I can't contact her either, so I have to go and take a look myself. I'll go with you. No need, you stay and take care of everyone. I'm afraid it's a diversion. What if I leave and something happens here? There are many people here, I don't know who the dream creator is. Then you can't do it alone. Last time, you were able to kill Xiao Ling directly because you saw through her and she wasn't prepared. But this time, it's obvious that they're prepared. The problem is that we don't know which one of them is the dream creator. If you go and the dream creator suddenly attacks you, you'll definitely die. Su Yu's analysis was right. The problem now was that they didn't know who the dream creator was, so that was the biggest problem. The hospital had suddenly lost contact with everyone, and they weren't sure if it was the dream creator's doing. In short, everything was unknown. Maybe I'm just overthinking things. What if nothing happened? Wouldn't you have come all the way here for nothing? Qin Chu smiled. It's fine if it's a wasted trip. I can't let anything happen to anyone in our group, so I have to follow you. Su Yu had made up his mind to follow Qin Chu. Seeing that Su Yu had made up his mind, Qin Chu didn't want to argue and nodded. What are you two talking about? You're being so mysterious. The hot pot is ready, come. Jiang Xiaowei stood at the door and shouted at the two men. Xiaowei, we're going out to buy something. You guys eat first. Without changing his expression, Qin Chu found a suitable excuse. Jiang Xiaowei looked at Qin Chu and Su Yu before nodding. All right then. You guys go ahead. We'll eat first and wait for you guys while we eat. Just like that, Qin Chu and Su Yu went out together. You or me? Su Yu asked Qin Chu. Because there was a row of luxury cars in front of South Hill Manor. Qin Chu's Bentley, Huamin's Audi R8, Su Yu's Lamborghini, Wei Liao's Range Rover, Qiao Fei's Maybach S680, and Gao Ran's Jaguar. Those who knew and understood that these people were ferocious magnates, brothers and friends. Those who didn't know better might have thought that this was a meet-and-greet party organized by a luxury car club. Su Yu was right. The two of them couldn't drive two cars, right? How troublesome. Therefore he looked at the row of luxury cars and felt troubled. He asked Qin Chu. Qin Chu was silent for 3 seconds. Then he said something that made Su Yu almost vomit blood. This became the only time and the last time the two of them had a funny conversation. Qin Chu said, how about rock, paper, scissors? Su Yu was speechless. You don't agree? Qin Chu looked at Su Yu seriously. Su Yu was in disbelief. No, I'll interrupt you for a second. Whose car to drive? What does this have to do with rock, paper, scissors? I'm really confused. Is your mind jumping too fast or am I too stupid? Mr. Qin's words confused Su Yu to the point where he started to doubt his life. At this moment, if Huamin was present, he would definitely be rolling on the ground laughing. In this world, perhaps only two strange men could have such a strange conversation. Chapter 4493. Qin Chu's face darkened when he heard this. He continued in a serious tone, what I mean is, let's play rock, paper, scissors. If you win, I'll be your driver and drive a Bentley. If you lose, you'll be my driver and drive your Lamborghini. Understand? Upon hearing this, Su Yu finally understood. I understand. No need to go through so much trouble. I'll be your driver. I'll drive my Lamborghini. Suyu didn't care. It didn't matter who was the driver, they were all as good as the god of driving. However, Mr. Chin didn't give up. No, we have to play rock, paper, scissors. I'll count it as your win, okay? Suyu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. No. Hey, I say, why are you so stubborn? I'll count it as your win and be your driver. No. Fine. Come on, rock, paper, scissors. Suyu was helpless. He couldn't persuade Chin-Chu, so he had no choice but to hide his fist behind his back. Thus, the two men started playing rock, paper, scissors in front of the row of luxury cars in front of the gate. One round to determine the winner. The first time they used scissors at the same time. The second time they used rocks at the same time. The third time, Suyu used scissors and Chin-Chu used rocks. You win. Suyu said. Mr. Chin only nodded. So I'll be the driver, Suyu said. Fuck, I said I'd be the driver? How nice. Why did you have to play rock, paper, scissors? This is different. How is it different? Suyu wasn't convinced. It's different. You were obviously going easy on me just now. Now I'm winning fair and square, Chin-Chu said. Suyu. Inside the castle, Huamin was trimming the daisies in the room when he saw the two people standing in front of the luxury car in front of the door. Due to the distance, he couldn't hear anything clearly. However, they were playing rock, paper, scissors. Huamin saw everything clearly. At that time, she almost burst out laughing. Her first reaction was to put down the scissors in the water and pick up her phone. Unfortunately, the two of them were too fast. By the time Huamin picked up his phone, the battle between the two had already ended. Suyu looked like he had nothing left to live for and was about to walk towards Rambo. Mr. Chin said faintly from behind, Suyu, stop driving. If we don't drive, shall we walk there? Suyu turned around and retorted to Chin-Chu, who had tricked him just now. Don't you have prayer beads? Chin-Chu pointed at the bead on Suyu's neck. That's right. Haha, why didn't I think of that? Suyu touched the prayer beads on his neck and laughed foolishly. This was a nightmare, and the prayer beads that Master Wu gave him were still useful. However, Suyu really thought that this was the real world and forgot about the cheat function that allowed him to teleport. Because you're stupid? Mr. Chin replied casually. Suyu, Chin-Chu, if I were a woman, I definitely wouldn't be with you. You're too good at insulting people. You're not gentle at all. Suyu gritted his teeth and retorted. Don't worry. If you were a woman, I wouldn't want you either. You're too good at spending money. I can't afford to raise you. Suyu, at this moment, if Huamin heard these words again, he would really burst out laughing. Chin-Chu was such a serious person, but he couldn't stop joking. Moreover, he looked like an experienced driver. Suyu was taken aback by her words. Are you still going to the hospital? Of course. Come here and hold my hand, Suyu shouted impatiently. After all, he had to have physical contact with Chin-Chu when he transmigrated. Chin-Chu walked over, but he didn't hold Suyu's hand. He was afraid that it would be too intimate, so he only tugged at Suyu's sleeve. When Huamin saw this scene, he almost blurted out, "There's something going on." Chapter 4494. However, before Huamin could finish her sentence, the two men disappeared. At first, Huamin was surprised, but then she realized that Suyu must have used the prayer beads. After all, this was still a dream, so it was very convenient to go anywhere. What's wrong? Mian, what are you looking at? Zhu Lingling walked over and placed her hand on Huamin's shoulder. Huamian's shoulder felt a little warm from the warmth of his palm. Nothing. Can we eat hot pot now? Yes, pregnant woman. There's also your favorite seafood, shrimp and crab. Hamicham, I want to eat more, even if it's in a dream. Huamin was suddenly in a good mood. She took out her phone and sent a WeChat message to Chin-Chu. After sending it, she immediately deleted it. This was because she did not know if there were any dream creators in this group of people. Therefore, it was better to keep some things private and not let others know. Chin-Chu and Suyu arrived at the entrance of the first hospital in an instant. Originally, Suyu would go to whoever he thought of. Suyu knew Jixin, so he thought of him. However, when they arrived, they were only at the entrance of the first hospital. They were not in the ward, and there was no trace of Jixin. Strange, how did this happen? This was the first time he had encountered such a situation, so Suyu was also confused. He thought that the prayer beads were broken. Who knew that there was something else going on? Before Chin-Chu could speak to Suyu, he heard his phone ring. He took out his phone and looked at it. His expression didn't change. What's wrong? Mian sent me a WeChat message, Chin-Chu said. Suyu was instantly nervous. What's wrong? Did something happen at home? No, Mion said that she found a trick that might be able to tell the difference between dream creators and us. So magical? What is it? Suyu had always known that Huamin was extremely smart. Therefore, it wasn't difficult for him to find a flaw in a short period of time and figure out the difference between dream creators and them. At least, Suyu believed that Huamin could do it even if others couldn't. Qin looked down at his phone and repeated Huamin's message. She said that normal people's hands have warmth, but dream creators or fictional monsters have cold hands. Suyu didn't know what to say. Linya's hand is like this. As for Ling, I've never touched her, so I won't comment, Qin said. Oh, I remember now. Layla is like this too. Does Jing do not know about it? Suyu said. Later on he remembered his contact with Layla. Indeed, when he accidentally touched her, her hands were cold and had no warmth. Just now, when Zhu Lingling accidentally touched Huamin, Huamin felt the warmth of Zhu Lingling's palm and figured it out. However, Huamin added that this was just her personal opinion. As for whether it was right or not, he wasn't sure. For the time being, it wasn't the only way to recognize a dream creator. Let's go upstairs and look for Jixin first, Qin suggested. Okay. Then, Qin and Suyu went upstairs and entered Bella's ward. It was unusually quiet outside the ward. Suyu pushed the door open and was about to enter when Qin stopped him. Then he handed the dagger to Suyu and reminded him, "Be careful. I feel like something's wrong." Chapter 4495. Suyu took the dagger, nodded, and didn't say anything. Then Qin kicked open the door of the ward. However, everything in front of them stunned Suyu and Huamin. The ward was empty. There was not a single person in it. After looking around, they heard the sound of running water coming from the bathroom. Then the water stopped. A figure walked out. The two men held their breaths, ready to fight to the death. Unexpectedly, the person who came out was indeed Bella in a hospital gown. Perhaps because she had been lying in bed for too long, she didn't look good. President Qin. President Su, why are you here? After washing her hands, Bella walked out and was shocked to see the two men. Bella, when did you wake up? Today, why didn't you tell me about such a big thing? Qin looked at Bella warily. Because I heard from Jixin that Sister Mian just came back safely, and there are still a lot of things to do at home. I thought I'd recover my strength first before telling you. The doctor said I'm fine and did a full body checkup for me. Bella smiled, looking as if she had been rejuvenated. Bella, where's Jixin? Qin asked. After all, Bella woke up. It was such a big thing and Jixin had to be with her. That was why Qin asked suspiciously. Jixin, he went out. He just came downstairs. Didn't you see him? No, when did that happen? Suyu froze. Just now. He was acting weird today. When he left, he was wearing a baseball cap and a mask like a celebrity. Bella smiled. Qin and Suyu looked at each other as if they had a tacit understanding. What did he go out for? Qin asked. He said he was going to buy dinner for me. Maybe it's because I've been lying in bed for too long, and my mouth doesn't have any taste. I keep wanting to drink something sour and spicy. Jixin said that there's an authentic sour and spicy noodle shop on the street above, so he went to pack it for me. Okay, let's go find him. Qin pulled Suyu out. Hey, President Qin. You can wait here. He'll be back soon. It's not far. No, I have something urgent to talk to Jixin about. Then Qin and Suyu left the ward and rushed downstairs. When they went downstairs, Suyu said, You think there's something wrong with Jixin, right? Yeah, Jixin knows all the people I sent. If I can't get in touch with them, Jixin must know what's going on. Plus, why would he wear a hat and mask when he went out to buy food? It's suspicious, Qin analyzed. Now that you mention it, I remember that when we came in, there was someone wearing a cap and mask who brushed past us. Now that I think about it, when the rosary beads first sent us here, it went to Jixin's side. We overlooked it and didn't see him. That's why we thought there was something wrong with the rosary beads. Suyu finally understood why the rosary beads sent them to the hospital entrance and not the ward. Because at that moment, Jixin was at the door. It was just that they didn't see him because he was armed. Why are you running? We have the rosary beads. This time he won't be able to run away. Suyu held Qinchu's shoulder and began to use the rosary beads at the corner of the corridor where there were few people. He hoped to find Jixin's location again. Then, 3 seconds later, the two of them appeared on a shabby street. The man in front of them was wearing a cap and mask. Suyu was impatient. He went up and took the man down. Ouch, who is it? It hurts. The man turned around and Qin Chu took off his mask. It was indeed Jixin. Hey brother-in-law. Brother Suyu, how did you know I was here? Jixin was very happy to see Qin Chu. Chapter 4496. Suyu was about to make a move when he saw Qin Chu give him a look. Therefore, Suyu decided to wait and see what Qin Chu wanted. After all, Qin Chu knew Jixin better. If Jixin was really a dream creator, Suyu believed that with his and Qin Chu's strong consciousness, they could definitely kill the third dream creator if they worked together. Jixin, Suyu and I came to see you for something urgent, but you weren't at the hospital, so we came out. Yeah, I came to buy food for Bella. I had to wait in line for a long time, so I came out early. Then why are you wearing a mask and a hat when you're out to buy food? Suyu still didn't believe Jixin's words. This was indeed suspicious. Jixin wasn't a celebrity or a public figure. If he came out, he wouldn't have to be so dressed. It's Bella. After she woke up, she was always suspicious. I think she has some kind of paranoia. When she saw me going out alone, she said that she was worried that someone would follow me. After all, I'm an executive of GK now. I don't care, but in order to please my wife, I'll do whatever she says. Jixin was still smiling. However, Qin Chu and Suyu's expressions changed drastically. What did you say? Did Bella ask you to do this? Suyu asked anxiously as he tugged at Jixin's collar. Oh, that's right. What's wrong, brother Suyu? Why do you and my brother-in-law have such expressions? Did I do something wrong? Jixin was dumbfounded. Suyu and Qin Chu looked at each other. It was as if they knew what the other party was thinking. However, it was undeniable that the dream creator could also be acting. Perhaps he would pretend to be silly and frame Bella as a dream creator. Therefore, after 3 seconds of consideration, Qin Chu asked Jixin another question to see how he would answer. From this, they could judge who was the real dream creator between Jixin and Bella. Jixin, where are the security guards I arranged for you at the hospital? Why can't I get in touch with him? Oh that. Bella said it's useless. She's awake and about to be discharged, so she fired them all? It didn't seem like Jixin was lying. Qin Chu looked into Jixin's eyes and didn't see any flaws. Fired? Qin Chu frowned slightly. Yeah, I did. She's the boss now, so we'll do whatever she wants. Jixin still didn't understand his brother-in-law's feelings and was still smiling foolishly. Why didn't you tell me about such a big thing? Qin Chu looked at Jixin seriously. This was the first time in years that he blamed his brother-in-law. Normally, Qin Chu treated Jixin the same way he treated Huamin. He didn't treat Jixin like a brother-in-law at all. He treated Jixin like a younger brother. Even better than Qin Ning. But this time, Qin Chu obviously didn't recognize Jixin's stupid actions. It was a pity that he trusted this kid so much and even told him about the incubus. But he didn't learn at all and was still used by others. Jixin felt that the atmosphere wasn't right. He scratched his head and stammered, I actually wanted to tell you, but Bella just woke up and her emotions aren't very stable yet. She's hungry, thirsty, cold, and hot. Also, she said that she won't tell you sis and my mom about waking up. She plans to give you guys a surprise when she's discharged tomorrow. Just as Jixin said this, Qin Chu turned around. He reached out and grabbed Suyu's shoulder. Quick, let's go back to the hospital and find Bella. Suyu immediately understood what Qin Chu was thinking and quickly activated the prayer beads. Chapter 4497. Jixin was indeed a fool. He was fooled by this fake Bella. She ordered him around to distract him, and now Jixin was almost made to take the blame for her. Suyu and Qin Chu didn't dare to imagine if they hadn't asked carefully and killed Jixin. Then, Jixin, who had entered the dream in person, would have died in the dream. Then how would the two of them face Huamin in the future? The third dream creator could also be said to be Bella. Her methods were extremely vicious, and she hid it very well. As the third dream creator, she had pretended to be in a vegetative state for a long time. She had deceived everyone. Now that her identity was about to be exposed, she woke up and threw the blame to Jixin. Then Suyu activated the prayer beads again. This time, his target was Bella's ward at the first hospital. Just like that, Jixin watched as the two grown men disappeared into thin air. Jixin was so scared that he forgot what he was going to buy and ran back as fast as he could. Suyu thought that he could just return to the ward, but to his surprise, the ward was empty. The woman who was talking to them just now was nowhere to be seen. Suyu, quick, use your mind to track Bella. Qin Chu knew that there was something wrong with Bella, so he definitely wouldn't let her run around. He was afraid that she would pose a threat to others, so he was very anxious. Suyu dragged Qin Chu again and activated the prayer beads. However, he realized that no matter how hard he tried, he could not think of Bella. He could not condense a strong will. Seeing that something was wrong with Suyu, Chinchu immediately woke him up. What's wrong? I feel strange. Whenever I think of Bella, her face is blurry. I can't imagine what she looks like. How can this be? Chinchu was surprised. Suyu was also sweating from anxiety. I don't know either. Is it because you don't have a deep impression of Bella's appearance? What if I find a photo for you? Why don't you try again? Chinchu suggested. Suyu shook his head. Here's the situation, Chinchu. It's not that I don't remember Bella's appearance. What I do remember is that when I tried to gather my thoughts, it seemed to be blocked by something, so I couldn't use the power of the prayer beads. Do you think she knew that her identity was exposed, so she escaped and did something to my prayer beads? After all, we used the prayer beads in the hospital just now. If she was a dream creator, she would know about it. Suyu's reaction was also extremely fast as he analyzed the situation. Chinchu nodded. Before Chinchu could say anything, the entire hospital began to shake and tremble. It felt like an earthquake. Chinchu didn't understand this feeling, but Suyu was very familiar with it. This was a sign that the dream was about to collapse. Oh no, the hospital might be an illusion created by Bella. She's going to use it against us. Run! In the midst of the chaos, Suyu grabbed Chinchu's collar and ran out. Fortunately, the two of them reacted in time. When they ran out, the hospital had already collapsed. It was like watching the end of the world in the movie 2012. Chinchu was secretly glad that this was a dream. Therefore, he didn't have to worry about so many innocent lives being crushed to death in the hospital. He was afraid that in this huge hospital, only he and Suyu were real people. Everyone else was just a figment of his imagination. Of course, Jishin still needed to be investigated. Was he in the dream or was he fictional? To determine this, he had to see if Jishin collapsed after killing Bella. Chinchu, what should we do now? Where can we find her? Suyu panted and was a little discouraged. This time, they had alerted the enemy and let the dream creator escape. It was obviously very disadvantageous for them. Chapter 4498. Chinchu remained silent. His mind seemed to be racing as he thought of a countermeasure. Do you think this monster will run to South Hill Manor? Our people are all there? Suyu felt scared just thinking about it. If she went to South Hill Manor, wouldn't they be wiped out? Chinchu shook his head and said with certainty, no, she won't dare to go. Everyone was at South Hill Manor, and they all knew that in the dream, and had worked with Suyu to kill Messiah. The professor was also there. Even if this dream creator was crazy, she wouldn't dare to go against the gun. Now that two dream creators had died, it was not wise to send themselves to death even though they knew the situation was bad. Seeing how this dream creator had been hiding in Bella for so long, one could tell that she was a very shrewd dream creator. Therefore, she definitely wouldn't foolishly choose to go to South Hill Manor to die. That was why Chinchu was so sure that she wouldn't go. Suyu was about to say something when Chinchu suddenly spoke. Suyu, do you remember what Mion's mother looks like? You mean Linya? No, it's my mother-in-law. Ah, it's Auntie Yang. I remember. Yes, use the rosary beads to bring us to her. Hurry. Okay. Suyu didn't ask why. In a critical moment, as long as Chinchu said something, he was willing to believe his analysis. Suyu closed his eyes and activated the rosary beads again. Yang Meirong's image appeared in his mind. In an instant, they arrived at Yang Meirong's house in Sky Blessing Court. However, at this moment, the living room was covered in blood. The bodyguards, private doctors, and nannies that Chinchu had sent to protect his mother-in-law were all lying in pools of blood. Oh my God, are we too late? Suyu looked at the scene in shock. Even though he knew it was a dream, he was still shocked. Chinchu watched all this without moving an inch. Then he looked at the stairs upstairs. Suyu, let's go up. Be careful, he said. After that, Suyu followed behind Chinchu, and the two men walked upstairs step by step. The blessed heavenly garden was no longer as warm as it was in the past. Instead, it was replaced by a chilling atmosphere. When the two reached the master bedroom upstairs, Chinchu suddenly stopped in his tracks. Then he heard a woman singing from the room. She sang a cappella. The cool breeze from the south, the nightingale sings softly, the flowers under the moon are all in a dream, only that night is fragrant. Suyu felt his scalp go numb as he listened. This song, Yi Lai Xiang, was a classic song by the superstar Teresa Teng. It was a very charming old song. But now the atmosphere was no less than a haunted house. Listening carefully, it wasn't Bella's voice, and it certainly wasn't Yang Meirong's either. Qin Chu clenched his fists and pushed open the door. The two men were a little surprised by the scene inside. They thought that Yang Meirong had already been killed by Bella. Unexpectedly, Yang Meirong was sitting on the makeup chair, putting on makeup in front of the mirror. She was wearing a dark green velvet cheongsam, which suited the feeling of old Shanghai. As for Bella, or rather, the third dream creator, she was still using Bella's face. She was wearing a dark red cheongsam. It was very sexy, the kind that exposed her legs. She was standing behind Yang Meirong, combing her hair. As she combed her hair, she sang Yi Lai Xiang. Suyu and Qin Chu felt like they were watching a scene from a horror movie. It was the kind of scary atmosphere before a ghost came out. Suyu swallowed his saliva unconsciously to express his nervousness. At this moment, Bella suddenly turned around and smiled at them. "You guys are here?" That smile was extremely strange. Chapter 4499. Let go of my mom. Qin Chu glanced at Bella coldly. However, the woman acted as if she didn't hear Qin Chu. Then she whispered into Yang Meirong's ear, "Mom, look, who's here?" Yang Meirong turned her head slowly. He glanced at Qin Chu and then at Suyu with his dull eyes. "Who are they? What did you do to my mom?" Seeing that his mother-in-law didn't recognize him anymore, Qin Chu was a little anxious. If something happened to his mother-in-law, Huomian wouldn't be able to bear it. "Nothing, I just told her to dress up. I'm taking her to see Jingda." After Bella finished speaking, she laughed maniacally. Her laughter was very demonic. Suyu and Qin Chu's hearts tightened when they heard this. Whether it was the Jingda in the real world or in the dream, he was already dead. So, did Bella mean to send Yang Meirong to her death? "If you have anything to say, come at us. Don't bully the old." Suyu pointed at Bella and scolded. Bella wasn't in a hurry. She continued to comb Yang Meirong's hair. Then she chuckled softly. "You guys are quite capable. You've killed 2 dream creators. I was thinking that if I didn't expose my identity, you guys might slowly find out. Why don't I wake up and fight you guys? You're really good at pretending to be in a vegetative state. I didn't expect it to be you." Suyu really didn't expect it to be Bella. "Who's the boss behind you? What's his motive? Are you all here for the Red Demon?" At this point, Qin Chu didn't want to hide anymore. He might as well ask to see if he could find out anything about the person behind them. Bella only smiled slightly. "Other dream creators might be working for the Red Demon or the boss behind them, but I'm not." "So, you have other motives?" Qin Chu looked into Bella's eyes. Bella put down the comb in her hand. Then she turned around and took 2 steps forward to look at Qin Chu. "Do you really not recognize me? We've met before." Qin Chu was slightly startled by Bella's words. He didn't seem to understand what Bella meant, so he was also baffled. At this moment, Bella covered her face with one hand and lowered her head. When he raised his head again, his expression had changed. That face was no longer Bella's. The dream creator was not Bella herself. She had used Bella's identity to hide beside them. Now that her identity had been exposed, there was no way for her to continue hiding. Was that why he wanted to show his true face to others? But this face. At that moment, Qin Chu looked at it and felt an inexplicable sense of familiarity, but he did not know where he had seen it before. This was a very beautiful face, sexy and exquisite. This woman looked to be in her 20s. Her face was full of collagen. Anyone who saw her would say that she was a standard beauty. "Qin Chu, do you really not remember me?" The woman looked at Qin Chu with a hint of resentment in her eyes. "Qin Chu, you know her?" Suyu turned to look at Qin Chu, not knowing what to do. No one expected the third dream creator to suddenly show her face, and she looked like an old friend of Qin Chu. Qin Chu felt like his head was about to explode. He tried hard to remember, but he couldn't remember where he had seen this woman before. Then, the woman smiled slightly and changed her clothes. She took off the sexy dark red cheongsam and turned into a black nightgown. There was even a mask on her face. Looking at those eyes that he hadn't seen in a long time, Qin Chu suddenly remembered. "So, it's you?" He pointed at the woman. Chapter 4500. It turned out that this woman's eyes looked like a person's. It was Mion's. They looked very similar to Mion's, but with those exquisite facial features she didn't look like Mion. Only when she put on a mask would she. Therefore, Qin Chu remembered everything. This was a party he attended with Qin Ning a few years ago when he was recuperating in the United States. The woman he accidentally saved, black knight suit, eyes that looked like Mion's, lighter? Skeleton. Doomsday Death God? Yes, she was from the Doomsday Death God, However, the Doomsday Death God actually had a dream creator? This was something Qin Chu never expected. You're from the Doomsday Death God? Qin Chu frowned slightly as he looked at her, a chill rising in his heart. Many people knew about the mysterious organization Doomsday Death God, but not many had seen it before. Qin Chu had only met them in a hurry back then because he had accidentally saved someone. It wasn't intentional. And the lighter that the woman left behind had indeed helped Qin Chu a lot. At least Yinan and the others were afraid of it. Qin Chu thought that he would never be able to come into contact with this mysterious organization in his life. Who would have thought that they would meet in the nightmare? Previously, Qin Chu had thought that Layla was that woman. Later on, when Linya died and Layla collapsed, he realized that Layla was just a figment of the dream creator and did not exist. However, no matter what, Qin Chu did not expect that woman to be the third dream creator. Haha, you actually remembered me. The woman smiled in satisfaction as she stared at Qin Chu with a different light in her eyes. She's from the Doomsday Death God? Suyu had heard of this organization, so he was stunned when he heard Qin Chu's words. The woman ignored Suyu and continued to speak to Qin Chu. Qin Chu, if I said that I entered the dream for you, would you believe me? Qin Chu did not answer her sudden question. Instead, he looked at her in confusion. I thought Layla was... I didn't expect it to be you. Layla? Are you talking about that puppet? Yes, Linya is dead. She was the puppet that collapsed. Qin Chu said. Bella smiled. No, she's not Linya. She's one of us and an outstanding dream creator. She just transformed into Linya to confuse you. Of course, they all underestimated you, so they died without a complete corpse. I'm different from them. They came for the red demon, and I came for you. This woman said, I came for you. Not only was Qin Chu speechless, but Suyu was also confused. He thought to himself, what's going on? Were they Qin Chu's crazy fans? Did he chase her into her dreams? Wouldn't that be too much? What do you want? Qin Chu looked at the woman coldly. What I want is very simple. I cannot kill anyone. I can also let your people out, help you interpret the dream, but I have a condition. You have to come with me. Qin Chu didn't say anything. Suyu, on the other hand, found an excuse and cursed, You shameless bitch, you sure are ambitious. You want Qin Chu? Why don't you fucking ascend to heaven? The woman looked at Suyu and smiled. Aren't you the happiest person that Qin Chu is gone? I like Qin Chu, so I want to take him away. You like Qin Chu's wife and child, so you can get everything you want. Isn't that the perfect ending? Fuck you, stop trying to scare me. You can't take anyone away today and the two of us will kill you together. Suyu had a bad temper and was angered by the woman's words. He immediately cursed. Chapter 45:01. Qin Chu, are you really not willing to come with me? The woman looked at Qin Chu affectionately. When she transformed into Bella, she hid it very well and could not be seen through it all. However, once she returned to her original appearance, she could no longer hide her infatuation with Qin Chu. That gaze did not seem fake. Without waiting for Qin Chu to speak, the woman continued, With your strength alone, it's almost impossible to kill the 4 dream creators and escape. The 4 dream creators are all our people. They're all our people. You might not know how strong we were when we were born. Our people are talented, so we're natural dream creators. As the future heir, I didn't have to enter the dream personally, but because of you I stayed in the dream for so long. Qin Chu, I once thought that no man in this world was worthy of me, until I met you in America. At that moment, I was almost certain that you were the man I had always wanted to find. Come with me. I can give you everything that Huamin can give you. I can give you everything that Huamin can't give you. As long as you want, I can give you anything. If you don't want to return to the real world, I can create a sea of flowers for you in your dream. We can build a transparent glass house in the sea of flowers. Then we can watch the stars together at night. We can also have many, many children. As long as you're willing, I'll stay in the dream with you for the rest of my life. The more the woman spoke, the more agitated she became. In the end, she even shed tears of excitement. She liked Qin Chu for a long time. She had been observing him in her dream for the past few days. She was only waiting for the last person to die. When the red demon was in her hands and the others left, she would find an opportunity to take Qin Chu away alone. However, she did not expect things to turn around. Half of their people were dead. Qin Chu and Suyu began their counterattack. Fuck, little bitch, it's time to wake up. If you continue, even you will think that it's real. Qin Chu was unmoved by what the woman described. However, Suyu didn't have the patience to wait for her to continue and interrupted her. Qin Chu, on the other hand, stood in front of the woman. After hearing her passionate confession, he only responded with a faint sentence. Help us interpret the dream and bring us all out. We can spare your life. After Chinchu finished speaking, Suyu couldn't help but give him a thumbs up. Chinchu, you're so cool. You listened to her blabber so much and then slapped her in the face with one sentence, haha. Chinchu, are you really not going to think about it? I don't want to fight with you. I don't want to hurt you. Don't force me, really. The woman looked at Chinchu as if her heart was aching for the fairer sex. Cut the crap. Let's get this over with. My wife is still waiting for me to eat hot pot at home. Chinchu was running out of patience. In this world, other than Huamin, no other woman could move his heart for even a second. No one? Alright, since you're so stubborn. I'll show you something fun first. With that, the woman clenched her fists. No one knew what she was doing. The comb on Yang Meirong's table suddenly turned into a poisonous snake with a black body and a red head. Then it flew up and wrapped around Yang Meirong's neck twice. Finally, it flicked its tongue at its face. Ow. There's a snake. There's a snake. Yang Meirong screamed in fear. Before Chinchu and Suyu could say anything, the woman said. The woman said proudly, Huamian's mother is a real person in the dream. If I give the order, my baby will bite her to death. If she dies, then she's dead in the real world. Do you understand? Chapter 4502. After hearing what the woman said, Suyu panicked. Because he knew how important this foster mother was to Huamin. Once something happened to Yang Meirong, Huamin would definitely break down. But at this moment, Chinchu was much calmer than usual. The stronger the opponent, the more dangerous the situation, the more Chinchu had to remain calm. He did not want to be led by the nose by the enemy. Perhaps it was because of this reverse thinking that Chinchu was able to escape calamity time and time again. Chinchu looked at the woman from the doomsday death god. His eyes were still as calm as water. Of course we understand this. But you should also understand that it's not a coincidence that we were able to kill 2 dream creators in such a short period of time. If you kill our people in the dream, we will be completely dead. But similarly, if we kill you in the dream, you won't be able to return to the real world. Haha, are you threatening me? Do you think that since I've entered this dream, I would be afraid of you dying? Besides, there are 4 of us, and a group of you. It's worth it. 1 life in exchange for many lives. Chinchu, do you know what I like about you the most? Then, the woman looked at Chinchu affectionately again. Chinchu didn't say anything. What I like the most is how fearless you are. It's as if you won't frown even if the earth is destroyed. But such a powerful man is captivated by an ordinary woman like Huamin. How disappointing. Huamin is really not good enough for you. If you're with me, we'll have more fun. The woman took the opportunity to persuade Chinchu again. Fuck, are you done? Are you annoying? Can't you tell that he doesn't like you? You're a woman, how can you be so shameless? Even if you look like Athena, Chinchu won't like you. Do you understand? The woman's words angered Suyu. Suyu was someone who would not allow anyone to say anything bad about Huamin. However, the woman did not care about Suyu at all. She continued to speak to Chinchu. Actually, even if you kill me, it's too late. Time is almost up. You won't be able to find a 4th dream creator in such a short period of time. When the time comes, the dream world will collapse and our dream creators will wipe you out. Chinchu, it's not easy to live. You're a genius, why do you have to die with these mortals? From the woman's words, Suyu and Chinchu heard 2 important pieces of information. Firstly, they didn't have much time left, even in their dreams. Secondly, the 4th dream creator might be hiding even deeper than Bella, so it was not easy to find her in such a short time. Therefore, the result was not very good, and that was, in the end, everyone might die. Suyu was furious. He pointed at the dream creator and scolded again. Do you not understand human language? Let me translate for you. Chinchu's meaning is obvious. You would rather die with us mortals than live with a monster like you. I think you're a toad who wants to eat swan meat. Afraid that Chinchu would misunderstand, Suyu turned around and added to Chinchu. What I mean is you're a swan and she's a toad. Chinchu was speechless. Chinchu remained unmoved after hearing the woman's words. Then he suddenly turned to Yang Meirong. Then he smiled gently. Mom, do you still remember what you have to do every weekend at 9 in the morning? The dream creator and Suyu were both stunned. They didn't know what Chinchu was going to do. Chapter 4503. Yang Meirong was slightly stunned when she heard this. Her consciousness was basically controlled by this dream creator. Therefore, she was a little silly and did not recognize Chinchu and Suyu. However, Chinchu told her a time and she had some impression of it. Then she tried her best to think about what she had to do every weekend morning. She definitely would not forget such a habit after such a long time. Sure enough, Yang Meirong had a flash of inspiration and finally remembered. Every weekend at 9 o'clock in the morning, she would chant scriptures and pray in the study. Yang Meirong was a Buddhist. Perhaps she was influenced by her old neighbor, but there was a portrait of Bodhisattva in the study. Perhaps it was because she wanted to have something to look forward to, so Yang Meirong ate vegetarian on the 1st and 15th of every month and chanted scriptures on the weekend. Qin Chu once overheard Huamin mention it. As for what scripture she was chanting, he didn't know, so he took a risk. After all, if Su Yu's great compassion mantra was useful, then no matter what Buddhist scriptures his mother-in-law chanted, it should be useful. At this critical moment, there was no time to think about many things. Even if it was a last resort, he had to give it a try. This was Qin Chu's style of doing things. She didn't know what Qin Chu was up to, but she was afraid that he would play tricks. The dream creator put his finger in his mouth and made a sound. The venomous snake suddenly pounced towards Yang Meirong's face. It was so fast that it was shocking. Su Yu's heart almost jumped out of his chest. At this moment, Yang Meirong closed her eyes and mumbled something. The venomous snake suddenly stopped in front of her. Then its head swayed left and right, but it did not attack forward. The dream creator was a little anxious and made another sound, but the snake still did not react. Qin Chu looked at his mother-in-law's lips, and read her lips. He realized that she was chanting, Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva. When he walked the deep Prajna Paramitha, he saw that the 5 skandhas were all empty, and he passed through all suffering. This was a Buddhist sutra. It seemed like Mian was right. His mother-in-law was indeed chanting. And judging from the snake's reaction, the Heart Sutra was effective. Before the dream creator could react, Qin Chu whispered to Su Yu. Su Yu, let's go. Su Yu reacted quickly and ran towards the dream creator with Qin Chu. Just as he was about to reach that woman, a sudden downpour fell from the sky. The water made their vision blurry. When Qin Chu and Su Yu opened their eyes again, they suddenly found that the scene in the room had changed. The house was nowhere to be found. What replaced it was a vast ocean, and the two of them were in the middle of a violent tsunami. Another huge wave came crashing down. Su Yu, quickly gather your consciousness. This is a dream. Qin Chu loudly reminded Su Yu. Su Yu quickly closed his eyes and concentrated on condensing his consciousness. The two of them quickly condensed their consciousnesses, and the tsunami instantly faded away. Their surroundings became quiet. When they opened their eyes again, the scene had changed again. They were in a very dark room. There were mirrors behind them, and the dream creator had 8 clones. They stood around them, surrounding them in a circle. Fuck. What's going on? 72 transformations? Did we meet a monkey? Su Yu cursed. Before Qin Chu could say anything, a bow and arrow had appeared in the hands of the 8 dream creators. Then the 8 of them released their arrows. Be careful, Qin Chu shouted again. Chapter 4504. Then he and Su Yu quickly dodged, but just as they snatched one wave, the second wave came. That speed and number had already exceeded the limits of humans. Fuck, I'm not dodging anymore. This is a dream, this is a dream. Su Yu stood on the spot, panting. Then he closed his eyes and gathered his consciousness. Suddenly, Qin Chu pounced over and pushed Su Yu away. Then Su Yu opened his eyes and saw that Qin Chu had been shot in the arm. The arrow pierced through Qin Chu's entire arm. How did this happen? Su Yu was dumbfounded. The bone-piercing pain assaulted him. Qin Chu endured the pain and stood up. He whispered to Su Yu, she's different from the 2 dream creators. The scenes she creates are both real and fake. Some are real and some are fake. The sea just now was an illusion, but although this clone is a smokescreen, it's real. Even if you gather your consciousness, you won't be able to do it. Fuck, that's so strange. How did you tell? By her gaze, Qin Chu said. Gaze? Whose gaze? Qin Chu was speechless. Qin Chu said, look at that dream creator's gaze. When she created the scene, her pupils were blue, but now her pupils are black. So, I'm guessing that if you get hit by the arrow, you'll definitely die. After Su Yu heard this, he looked at Qin Chu in admiration. I really have to hand it to you. You can even notice such a small detail. Cut the crap. Be careful. With that, Qin Chu turned around and prepared to fight. Su Yu suddenly understood why Huamin loved this man so much. There was indeed an indescribable charisma about him. Whether it was friends, family, or lovers, they would all feel inexplicably safe by his side. Su Yu looked at the angle. If Qin Chu hadn't pushed him away, then he would have been the one who was shot, and it wouldn't have been as simple as his arm. It would have been his heart. Therefore, if Qin Chu hadn't pushed him away in time, he would have died. How could he still be alive and talking here? Seeing that Qin Chu could continue fighting after being shot, Suyu felt that he couldn't lose as a man. Thus, the two men had their backs against each other, preparing to fight side by side again. Seeing that Qin Chu was injured, the dream creator didn't immediately continue shooting. Instead, she looked at Qin Chu's injuries. You, Qin Chu, Suyu, Qin Chu, Qin Chu, Qin Chu, Qin Chu. I'd rather die here than leave with you. Come on. Let's continue. Qin Chu crooked his finger to block out the piercing pain in his arm. Then he carefully observed Qin Chu. He tried Qin Chu was Qin. When Suyu saw that Qin Chu was injured, he suddenly had a fighting spirit. While the dream creator was talking to Qin Chu, he suddenly rushed forward. Then he punched one of them in the face. He was so fast that no one could deal with him. However, the one that Suyu hit instantly turned into a bubble. It turned out that it was just a fake. It made sense. 1 out of 8. This was a very difficult question. The scariest thing was that the bubble that was shattered by Suyu reformed within a few seconds. Then the 8 of them started to spin rapidly. This way, even Suyu couldn't figure out which one he had hit. The difficulty continued to increase. Qin Chu and Suyu both started to focus because they knew that either the dream creator or the two of them would die in this battle. Chapter 45:05. Suyu. Yes. Chant the Great Compassion Mantra, quick. In the darkness, Qin Chu whispered to Suyu. Suyu immediately closed his eyes and thought of this life-saving trump card. Then he chanted the Great Compassion Mantra. Indeed, according to Qin Chu's guess, the moment the Great Compassion Mantra was chanted, all the arrows stopped in mid-air. Then Qin Chu took the opportunity to open his eyes and observe. He realized that the woman standing in the second position had a glint in her eyes. This was a small detail that the other 7 did not have. Therefore, while the arrow was still in place, Qin Chu bent down and went under it. He tripped the woman. He believed that this was the real deal. Indeed, after the woman fell, she did not disappear. Seeing that he had guessed correctly, Qin Chu quickly flipped over and grabbed the woman's throat. Suddenly, he felt a burning sensation in his hand and realized that his neck had turned into a ball of flames. The burning sensation came from his palm. It felt real and did not feel like an illusion. However, Qin Chu knew that if he let go, he would lose. Therefore, even though it was extremely painful, he refused to let go and used even more strength. Suyu used the sutra to stop the dream creator's arrows so that she could not attack them. Qin Chu took the opportunity to attack the dream creator. These two men worked really well together. After some time, Qin Chu felt that his hand was almost numb from the burn. Suddenly, his hand turned cold, he lowered his head and the fire was gone. The dream creator's real body was lying on Qin Chu's body, her face pale and weak. I didn't expect you to be so powerful. You are indeed the man I like. It was indeed strange for her to say such words at this time. Qin Chu did not know what to say. Then the woman said, Qin Chu, my name is Shalana. Remember my name, I loved you. Qin Chu still did not know what to say, but he let go of his hand, because he knew that she was about to die. He couldn't even use his talent as a dream creator. Actually, I have a way to kill you, but I don't want to do that. I've had enough in this life. I have everything I want. I hope that I won't enter the Doomsday Reaper in my next life. I want to live a normal life like all girls. I want to find someone I like, get married and have children with him. Hearing this, Qin Chu had mixed feelings. It seemed that even a terrifying force like the Doomsday Death God would envy the ordinary lives of ordinary people in the end. Qin Chu, I'm a little cold. Can you hold my hand? Her original appearance was actually very beautiful. She was a very clean and young lady. Her smile was so sweet. Qin Chu, don't. It might be a trap. Suyu opened his eyes and reminded Qin Chu. Qin Chu hesitated slightly but still chose to believe this woman. He reached out and gently held the woman's cold hand. It seemed that Mian was right. The temperature of a dream creator was indeed different from that of an ordinary person. Her hand was very cold. Thank you. The woman smiled in relief, but her aura was obviously weaker. Who is the 4th dream creator? Qin Chu asked her. The 4th dream creator is in your group. The woman said. I know. Tell me, who is it? It's actually... The woman leaned close to Qin Chu's ear and was about to tell him the answer. Before the woman could finish, Qin Chu felt that something was wrong. He quickly moved away from the woman. Then he heard a muffled sound. The woman's body exploded. Then, it turned into a pool of green liquid. It was extremely disgusting. The 3rd dream creator is dead. Suyu said blankly. I mean, Qin Chu nodded. Did she tell you who the fourth one is? Suyu asked. Chapter 4506. Qin Chu shook his head. Then let's leave this place first and take Auntie Yang with us, Suyu suggested. Qin Chu nodded and quickly walked up to Yang Meirong. After the third dream creator died, all of her illusions collapsed. Qin Chu and Suyu took the unconscious Yang Meirong and were not in a hurry to return to South Hill Manor. Instead, they went to the first hospital to pick up Jixin. Suyu used the prayer beads and the three of them returned to the first hospital almost instantly. They actually wanted to confirm if Jixin was an illusion or if he had entered the dream in person. Just as Qin Chu thought, Jixin had entered the dream in person. Jixin was quite surprised to see Qin Chu and Suyu return. Brother-in-law, brother Suyu? What's wrong? Why are you guys so serious? What happened to my mom? Jixin quickly went up and hugged his mother. Mom is fine, she just fainted. Ah, that's good, that's good. Did you guys see my wife? I came back from buying food and she was gone. Jixin had a harmless look on his face as he tried to look for Bella. Qin Chu and Suyu looked at each other. Then Suyu coughed lightly and said to Qin Chu, "Why don't you tell me about this? I don't even know how to start." What's wrong? Brother Suyu. Brother-in-law. What happened? Don't hide it from me. Did something happen to my wife? Jixin saw that there was something wrong with their expressions and was scared out of his wits. Therefore, Qin Chu briefly explained what had happened to Huamian. Jixin was dumbfounded. Brother-in-law. You mean my wife isn't my wife? No, Bella isn't real. Yes, she's the third dream creator. She's from the Doomsday Reaper. Who is the Doomsday Reaper? Jixin was confused. You don't have to worry about that for now. You just need to know that after we kill the fourth dream creator, we will leave the dream, Qin Chu said. Wait a minute. Brother-in-law. Then can I think of it this way? We entered the dream but my wife didn't. So, everything that happened in the dream wasn't real. Dad's return wasn't real, my sister's miscarriage wasn't real, including the twins and my nieces. So, my wife Bella is still alive in the real world. She didn't become a vegetable and is still alive, right? This time your brain finally works faster. Without waiting for Qin Chu to speak, Suyu nodded. Wow, that's great. My wife is fine. Jixin was overjoyed to hear that Bella didn't enter the dream. Ever since Bella fell into a coma, Jixin had cried countless times in private. Now that he thought about it, he realized that it was all just a dream. He immediately felt much more relaxed. The current situation meant that Bella herself had not entered the dream. She was the only one who had escaped with the twins. Brother-in-law? Does this mean that my wife is lucky? Together with Pudding and Little Bean, the three of them are the only ones who didn't encounter the nightmare? After Jixin heard Suyu's praise, he continued to think quickly and analyze the situation. Yes, that's right. Suyu felt that Jixin was smart and nodded. Unexpectedly, Qin Chu shook his head. No, Jixin is wrong. It's not three. If it's not three, then who else didn't enter the dream? Jixin looked at his brother-in-law curiously. Suyu also remembered and said in realization, it's the fourth dream creator. Who is he pretending to be? Then, this person's real self didn't enter the dream. Chapter 4507. Oh, right. How could I forget the most important thing? Jixin slapped his thigh. Let's not waste time here. The third dream creator also said that we don't have much time left. We have to rush back as soon as possible and find out the whereabouts of the fourth dream creator. Then we have to leave this place quickly, Qin Chu suggested. No problem, I'll take you back now. Suyu touched the prayer beads around his neck. He was very grateful to Master Wu for giving him this magical thing. With it, he didn't even have to drive. Jixin, don't talk nonsense when you get back. Don't tell anyone what I told you today. Qin Chu looked at Jixin and reminded him. What? Brother-in-law. Because you don't know which one of those people is the fourth dream creator. We can't alert them. Qin Chu could rule out Jixin because it was impossible for two dream creators to be together. Also, the third dream creator said that the dream creator was among those people. Therefore, Yang Meirong and Jixin could be eliminated. Only Huamin, Gao Ran, Zhu Lingling, Jiang Xiaowei, Wei Liao, Tang Chuan, Qin Ning, the professor, Qiao Fei, Lu Yen, and the twins were left in South Hill Manor. Among these 12 people, Huamin and the professor could be eliminated. Huamin was personally confirmed by Suyu and Qin Chu, and the professor was the main target this time, so he couldn't be fake. This was because those people had set up such a huge trap for the red demon in the professor's hands. Therefore, other than Huamin and her father, the professor, there were still 10 people left who were suspects. However, it was still very difficult to choose 1 out of 10. Okay, brother-in-law, I understand. I won't say anything. I don't have the ability to help you guys. After I go back, I'll be in charge of taking care of my mother and sister. Jixi knew himself very well. In order not to cause trouble for Qin and the others, he took the initiative to apply for a logistics job. Qin nodded and gave Suyu a look. Suyu spun the prayer beads, and the 4 of them instantly returned to South Hill Manor. Wow, you're so fast. I thought you guys would take a while. Zhu Lingling happened to be at the door and saw them come back. Have you finished eating? Suyu asked. Not yet. Everyone is eating hot food. Let's go in. I'll get more dishes. Zhu Lingling ran happily to the kitchen. Huamin glanced at Qin and Suyu in the crowd. From their gazes, she confirmed that the 3rd dream creator was dead. The 4th one is definitely very good at disguising himself. Let's be careful. Qin whispered in Suyu's ear. All right. Sis, our mother isn't feeling well. I'll help her upstairs to rest. You guys eat first. Don't wait for me. Jixin found an excuse and took his mother upstairs. Mom, what's wrong? I'll go upstairs and take a look. Huamin was worried, so he turned around and followed them upstairs. Qin and Suyu found an empty seat and sat down. Suyu followed his and Qin plan and cleared his throat. The 3rd dream creator is dead. After saying this, Qin glanced at everyone's faces in the blink of an eye. He observed everyone's expressions. Other than Zhu Lingling, who was washing vegetables in the kitchen, he looked at everyone else. However, he didn't find any subtle expressions on everyone's faces that indicated that their accomplice had died. Qin gaze fell on the kitchen door again. At this moment, Zhu Lingling walked out with the dishes. Suyu continued, Qin and I didn't expect the 3rd dream creator to be Bella. What? The 3rd dream creator is Bella? Zhu Lingling's reaction was so big that she almost dropped the dishes on her plate. Chapter 4508. Suyu nodded. Yes, it's Bella. But, isn't she in a vegetative state? Zhu Lingling was surprised. Qin explained, it's because of this that we ignored her. Suyu and I thought Jixin was. Then we almost fell into her trap. Luckily we came in time. Now that she's dead, does that mean we're getting closer to success? Qin asked. Qin nodded. Yes, as long as we kill the 4th dream creator. Where's the 4th one? Let's go find him. Tang Chuan was also an impatient person. He put his arm around Qin shoulder and suggested. Suyu glanced at Qin not knowing how to answer. Qin picked up his glass and took a sip of water gracefully. Then he looked around at everyone, including Zhu Lingling, who had just sat down. There's no need to look for him because the 4th dream creator is among us. After Qin said this, the entire place went into an uproar. Suyu was also slightly stunned. He knew that Qin had never played by the rules, so it was really hard to figure out why he said it so bluntly. Although he still couldn't tell who was the most suspicious. However, he was sure that Huamin, Jixin, and Auntie Yang upstairs could be ruled out. Suyu, Qin and the professor downstairs were also out of suspicion. They were safe. The only ones left were Gao Ran, Lingling, Xiaowei, Wei Liao, Tang Chuan, Qin, Lu Yen, Xiao Fei, Rick, and Cici. And had been with Suyu all this time, so he was definitely harmless. At this moment, Suyu was really glad that An was with him. Otherwise, it would be awkward if everyone else formed a couple while he was the only one who was alone. Brother, is what you said true? How could it be, among us? Qin looked at Qin in shock and disbelief. The 4th dream creator is indeed among us. This was what the 3rd dream creator said before he died, Qin explained. Qin, you're too decisive. How can we believe the words of the 3rd dream creator? Maybe she's deliberately misleading us, sowing discord and making us fight among ourselves. Zhu Lingling's voice was loud, so everyone heard her clearly. Qin glanced at Rick. Rick was one of Qin best friends. Qin knew Rick's personality better than anyone else. Ever since they moved in together, Qin hadn't talked much with Rick. Of course, it was not because he did not believe Rick, but because he did not know how to tell Rick that his child with Cici was also an illusion. In the real world, Cici's due date was not here yet. She was only a few days away from Huamin. Since Qin said so, there must be a reason. I believe him. Rick, who had been silent all this while, spoke. Cici sat beside Rick with the baby in her arms, not saying a word. He believed in Qin unconditionally. At the same time, Qin Chu also believed in Rick. However, Qin Chu couldn't tell Suyu that because he was close to Rick, he didn't suspect him. Therefore, Rick was still on the list of suspects like everyone else. However, Qin Chu had already eliminated Rick from the list. Does that mean that everyone here is a suspect? Jiang Xiaowei looked at Suyu and then at Qin Chu. Daddy, are the two of us also under suspicion? Little Bean looked at her daddy with grievance. Chapter 4509. Suyu nodded. That's right, you two too. But don't be sad. We found the fourth dream creator so that everyone can escape from this godforsaken place, so don't panic. If anyone should panic, it should be the fourth dream creator. After all, its identity is about to be exposed. Qin Chu didn't answer, but Suyu answered first. Perhaps he understood how Qin Chu as a father couldn't face his child. Even though he knew that the twins weren't real and could be made up, they could also be dream creators. What about Mian? Jiang Xiaowei asked. Mian has been ruled out. Qin Chu and I have already confirmed it. When we were fighting the third dream creator, Auntie Yang and Jixin were also ruled out. So we have temporarily isolated the three of them. So you're saying that we're eating this hot pot just to find the fourth dream creator? After Jiang Xiaowei said this, everyone understood what Qin Chu and Suyu meant. Lord Su, brother-in-law, just tell us now. How many of them have been ruled out? After we pick out those who have been ruled out, the rest will stand in a row and we'll think of a way to confirm it. Tang Chuan was impatient. When he heard that the dream creator was among them, he couldn't eat anymore. He was no longer in the mood to eat hot pot. Suyu looked at Qin Chu, then he took the initiative to speak. Among the people sitting here, only the professor can be ruled out. As for the reason, I'll explain it to everyone. The final confrontation between the four dream creators is a mysterious treasure called the Red Demon in the professor's hands. Although we don't know what it is and I don't want to know what it is, it must be very important. But this thing must be very important. Otherwise, they wouldn't have spent so much effort to weave such a big nightmare. So the professor must be real. Uncle Lu, please come out. After Suyu finished speaking, everyone looked at the professor. The professor stood up slightly, with no expression on his face. Qin Chu added, when we killed the first dream creator, the woman who looked like Dr. Linya, my dad was a key figure. So, based on this point, we can rule him out. The professor slowly walked out and separated himself from everyone. Lu Yen teased him with a smile. Dad? You're good. You're respected everywhere you go. Even if you're playing the guessing game, you're the first to escape. Alright Yen, stop fooling around. We're getting down to business. Xiao Fei reminded Lu Yen seriously. Now is not the time to joke. Brother, how should we confirm it? Qin Ning could not help but ask. Yeah, say something. Hurry up. Find it so we can continue eating hot pot, Tang Chuan said. Wei Liao chuckled. You're so careless. You're still thinking about eating hot pot at a time like this. If the identity of the fourth dream creator is exposed, it'll probably be another life and death battle. On the bright side, if we work together to kill the dream creator, we'll all leave this lousy place and return to the real world. We can eat whatever we want. No. You don't understand. I like the feeling of eating hot pot in my dreams. Tang Chuan was amused. Then you're really a bastard. Wei Liao mocked Tang Chuan with a smile. Qin Chu looked around at everyone and said again, there is indeed a way. Suyu, Mian and I all agree. It's said that dream creators have low body temperatures, so their hands and feet are cold. So please reach out your hands. I'll get Suyu to touch them one by one, to check the temperature of your palms. Chapter 45:10. Wow. What's the meaning of this? Are you asking us to take her temperature? Tang Chuan teased. No need. Everyone reach out your hands and we'll check, Suyu said. That's a good idea, hee. Come on, touch mine first. Gao Ran smiled and was the first to reach out his hand. Suyu glanced at Qin Chu, then took the initiative to touch Gao Ran's palm. It was the original temperature of a human body. Handsome Su, I want it too. Pudding raised her hand for Suyu to check. Suyu glanced at Pudding and walked towards her. Qin Chu, on the other hand, scanned everyone's micro-expressions, trying to find any useful information. But at that moment, the scene suddenly changed. The dining room at South Hill Manor suddenly turned into a dilapidated ship. Then, it floated on the surface of the sea in the middle of the night. The scary thing was that it was stormy weather. Everyone was swaying on the ship, and the situation was very dangerous. At this moment, Huamin, Jixin and Yang Meirong were nowhere to be seen. Qin Chu's first reaction was that the dream creator in the dining room had secretly tampered with it. Huamin and the others weren't in the dining room, so they weren't pulled into the illusion she created. What's going on? Fuck. Where's my hot pot? Tang Chuan was dumbfounded. He didn't forget to hug Qin Ning tightly, afraid that something would happen to his delicate wife. Wei Liao and Gao Ran were also hugging their children tightly. Qin Chu glanced at the twins. They were hugging each other and squatting in a corner. Qin Chu, what should we do now? Suyu rushed up and grabbed Qin Chu's shoulder. The dream creator must not want us to use our body temperature to determine its true identity. That's why they came up with this plan. Where did you check just now? Qin Chu asked Suyu. It's Pudding's turn, Suyu said. Qin Chu glanced at Pudding in the corner with a complicated expression. He really didn't want to suspect his daughter, but coincidentally when it was time to check on Pudding, the dream creator secretly made a move. Because the movements were too fast, he didn't see clearly who was the one who formed the seal. Are you suspecting Pudding? Suyu looked into Qin Chu's eyes and guessed in a low voice. What about you? Qin Chu asked Suyu. I suspect Zhu Lingling. Her reaction just now was obviously bigger than the others. Suyu said. Qin Chu lowered his voice and whispered into Suyu's ear. After learning my lesson from Bella and Jixin, I feel that although Zhu Lingling looks the most suspicious on the surface, the dream creator must have secretly done something to mislead us into thinking that it was Zhu Lingling. What you mean is, Suyu was confused. What I mean is, let's play a big game this time. Suyu, who do you think performed the best among these people? Who doesn't look like a dream creator? Suyu was about to speak, however he heard the professor's old voice. Chuyu, come here. Qin Chu and Suyu both turned around and ran towards the professor. What's wrong? That. Qin Chu looked anxious. Yen and Fei are gone. The professor finished speaking. Suyu and Qin Chu immediately looked around. They could see the ship at a glance, but Lu Yen and Xiao Fei had disappeared. They didn't come in or? Qin Chu asked the professor. They were just by my side but now they're gone. It happened in an instant. The professor also felt that something was strange. Chapter 45:11. Just as everyone was about to say something, they suddenly heard banging sounds from below the boat. Then Qin Chu followed the sound and found a hidden wooden door. He squatted down and lifted the wooden door. Everyone was stunned by the scene below. Lu Yen fired 2 shots at Xiao Fei with her pistol. Suyu was about to jump down and attack Lu Yen. After all, he thought Lu Yen was a dream creator. However, Qin Chu stopped him. Go, she's the 4th dream creator? Suyu was afraid that Qin Chu didn't understand, so he explained anxiously. Suyu, look. She pointed at the blood behind Xiao Fei. Qin Chu pointed at Suyu. It was the red liquid that would only appear after a dream creator died. Suyu was stunned speechless. He didn't expect this. So, Xiao Fei was a dream creator? The dream creator was severely injured, so the illusion slowly disappeared. Therefore, everyone instantly returned to the dining room of South Hill Manor from the boat. Xiao Fei lay on the ground, his face pale. He looked up at Lu Yen but his voice was different. When did you find out? Lu Yen looked up and sighed slightly. About 24 hours ago. Then why did you only do it now? He asked. You look like the man I love the most, so I really couldn't bear to do it. This is also why you're so smart. Lu Yen said. Did I make any mistakes? Actually, he was already very careful around Lu Yen. After all, he knew that Lu Yen was very smart. However, he didn't expect that he would accidentally expose his flaws. Otherwise, he would have secretly formed a seal and created a tsunami in his dream. However, before he could form the seal, Lu Yen stabbed him in the back. Then Lu Yen shot him 2 more times from the secret chamber on the boat. Lu Yan's expression was complicated. Perhaps no one knew how she felt when she shot the man she loved. Of course, her rationality told her that this person wasn't Xiao Fei. It was just a dream creator with the same face as Xiao Fei. She also knew that if she didn't act ruthlessly, everyone would die. My Xiao Fei is a famous little heater. I often hug him to sleep, so I'm very familiar with his body temperature. Although my Xiao Fei is amazing, he's definitely not a magician. When you proposed those roses, I asked you where you got them. Do you remember how you answered? Lu Yen looked at the last dream creator calmly. I said I borrowed it from my sister's house. He answered. Lu Yen smiled. Maybe you don't know, but my sister doesn't raise roses because there are too many thorns. She doesn't want to hurt Pudding and Little Bean. So at that time I thought, what kind of person can make roses out of a house that doesn't have roses? Perhaps only dream creators can do this? Then why didn't you expose me then? Because I wasn't sure. I was afraid that I would wrongly accuse you. After all, in the dream if you killed the real person you would be completely dead. I didn't want to kill the man I loved the most because of my thoughts. Lu Yen is indeed very smart. Haha, serves you right for not being wiped out. Such a group of people, it's not a waste for our boss to weave a nightmare for you. Ah. The man slowly revealed his true face, and his face that looked exactly like Xiao Fei's faded. It turned out that this was also a good-looking man. He looked young but no one knew him. He should be from Doomsday Reaper, Qin Chu said. Brother-in-law, the fourth dream creator is dead. Should we go back to the real world? Lu Yen turned around and asked Qin Chu. At this moment, before Qin Chu could reply, the ground began to shake as if there was a magnitude 8 earthquake. Everyone was dizzy from the shaking. Qin Chu subconsciously looked at Suyu, to look for Suyu. Chapter 45:12. With the death of the fourth dream creator, the dream world began to collapse. Some people said that the fourth dream creator died too easily, but that was not the case. Lu Yen had suspected him for a long time and had been observing him for the past few days. If Lu Yen hadn't acted quickly, he would have killed everyone by the time Qin Chu and Suyu discovered his true identity. Therefore it wasn't easy. It could only be said that Lu Yen was too powerful. The fourth dream creator took his last breath and the dream world began to collapse. To dream creators, they were the ones manipulating others. Perhaps in their lives, no one had been able to escape from the nightmare so quickly. Of course, all of this was thanks to Suyu. He was the one who brought such important news after entering the dream for the second time. Huamin, Jixin, and their mother rushed over to reunite with everyone. At this moment, Qin Chu discovered a serious problem. Everyone's bodies began to disappear, starting from the soles of their feet, and then to their calves. However, Suyu still did not react at all. Lord Su, why are you different from us? Wei Liao was next to Suyu. When he noticed something he shouted at Suyu. Suyu didn't say anything and just licked his lips. Lord Su, say something. What's going on? Tang Chuan also had a bad feeling. Although he couldn't put his finger on it, he felt that something was wrong with Suyu. Huamin and Qin Chu looked at Suyu. Huamin wanted to run over to Suyu and grab his collar. Then he asked, Suyu, what's wrong with you? What trick are you playing now? However, just as Huamin was about to leave, he realized that his legs had disappeared. Everyone was disappearing. This was a sign that they were about to leave this place. No one was afraid. But why was Suyu different from everyone else? Boss, what's wrong with you? Why are you different from us? Say something, and kept shaking Suyu's arm desperately. But he refused to say a single word. He looked around and scanned the familiar faces one by one. Finally, he smiled and said, in this life I, Suyu, have known everyone. I'm already satisfied. What do you mean by that? Suyu, speak clearly. What the fuck do you mean? Huamin would never swear. He would only swear when he lost his rationality. At this moment, in front of so many people, Huamin couldn't suppress the fear in his heart and cursed at Suyu. Suyu looked at Huamin and opened his mouth wanting to say something. However, he didn't say it out loud. Then he looked at Qin Chu and said, take good care of this silly woman and give birth to Qin Guogua. At this moment, everyone had disappeared. Huamin wanted to say something, but his vision went black. He completely lost consciousness. She vaguely remembered the last time she saw Suyu before leaving the incubus. Just like that, Suyu stood a little far away from everyone. He was wearing his favorite white Versace short-sleeved shirt and coffee-colored casual pants. He was like a lonely teenager. In his eyes there was reluctance, tears, and many things that he didn't say. In the end, Qin Chu didn't ask Suyu because he knew that Suyu had been hiding something from them. In the past, if Suyu didn't say anything he wouldn't have known. Now he didn't need Suyu to tell him. He had already guessed it. The dream creator was dead, the incubus was broken, and everyone went back, but Suyu stayed. Chapter 45:13. When Huamin woke up again, she saw the familiar ceiling. She slowly opened her eyes and reached out to block her vision, afraid that the strong light would hurt her. Mian, you're awake? It seemed that Qin Chu had woken up before her. Huamin seemed to have thought of something and suddenly stood up. Honey, where's Suyu? Where's Suyu? Qin Chu didn't say anything. Honey, I'm asking you. Say something. Where's Suyu? Ask him to come see me. Mia. Calm down and listen to me. I don't want to listen to you. I just want to see Suyu now. Go and ask him to come here. I want to see him right now. Huamin rarely lost her mind like this. She covered her head with her hands and shook her messy long hair. She refused to listen to anything Chin Chu said to her. No matter what Chin Chu said, she only repeated one sentence. I want to see Suyu. I want Suyu to come see me immediately. In the end, Chin Chu decided to tell her the truth. Mian, Suyu didn't come back. Huamin's body trembled. Where did he go? He didn't come back? Did he travel abroad? Or was he afraid that I'd scold him, so he went into hiding? Or did he go to a meeting with Lord Su? Did he go to the army to see his old comrade? Mian, you know very well. Don't lie to yourself. Suyu is in the dream. He didn't come back with us. I don't believe it. I'm going to find Suyu now. Huamin turned over and almost fell to the ground because of her trembling legs. Fortunately, Chin Chu was quick to react and supported Huamin. To be precise, it was Huamin with a big belly. They had finally returned to the real world to the correct time. Huamin hadn't given birth yet because she wasn't due yet. In the butler's eyes, they had only slept for one night after coming back. Honey, please take me to Suyu. I'm begging you. Huamin closed his eyes as tears streamed down his cheeks. Don't cry, Mian. I'll take you to see him. Chin Chu wiped away Huamin's tears with heartache, and then carefully carried her downstairs. Then he placed it on the passenger seat of the black Bentley. Then the couple went to Suyu's private villa. Everyone returned to the starting point except for Yang Meirong, who was still feeling unwell. Everyone woke up and immediately rushed to Suyu's house. When Chin Chu and Huamin arrived, everyone had already arrived. Other than the people who returned from the dream, there were two more people at Suyu's house. One was Suyu's mother, Auntie Su. The other was Suyu's master, Master Wu. However, no one was familiar with Master Wu. It was only when Suyu's mother introduced him that everyone knew about him. Mian is here, Jiang Xiaowei said when she saw Huamin and Chin Chu. Everyone's eyes immediately turned to look at them. Where's Suyu? Huamin had nothing on his mind except for finding Suyu. Jiang Xiaowei didn't say anything. She pointed at the man lying on the bed in Anne's bedroom. After Xiaoan woke up, he found himself lying side by side on the same bed as his boss. He wanted to shake him awake, but Master Wu stopped him. Huamin broke free from Chin Chu's arms and quickly walked to the bed. Then, she looked at the man lying on the bed who hadn't woken up. She felt like dying. Suyu, stop fooling around, okay? This joke isn't funny. We're all worried about you. We agreed to come back together. Wake up, don't stay in bed. Huamin sat on Suyu's bed with a gentleness she had never shown before. Then she reached out and gently tapped Suyu's forehead with her finger. It was like a little girl naughtily waking up her boyfriend. However, Suyu still didn't react. Chapter 45:14. Seeing Huamian's reaction, everyone felt like crying again. Lady Su picked up her handkerchief, covered her nose, and started crying again, even though she had cried countless times in the past few days. With Huamin crying, no one could hold it in anymore. Tang Chuan was a man. In the past, he always felt that crying was too embarrassing, but now he couldn't care less. Wei Liao was more reserved, but he turned his head and wiped his tears silently. You're Suyu's master, Master Wu, right? Chin Chu was still rational. He endured the pain and walked over to Master Wu. Master Wu nodded. His face was also haggard. Master Wu, I've heard Suyu mention you many times in my dreams. Can you tell me why Suyu hasn't woken up? When will he wake up? Master Wu glanced at Chin Chu and then at Huamin. Then he slowly said, Suyu came back by accident for the first time and realized that something was wrong. Then he found me through a friend. I had some fate with this kid, so I helped him solve a lot of problems and told him about the incubus. Later, when he heard that you guys were in danger inside, he begged me to enter the dream a second time. The two of us found the hypnotist who lured you guys into the dream, and sent him back. Only when he returns to the dream can he tell you guys that you're dreaming and have a chance of escaping. I thought that 4 dream creators would be enough for you guys to deal with, but I didn't expect you guys to be so capable and come out so quickly. What price will Suyu pay for entering the dream a second time? Chin Chu saw that Master Wu didn't get to the point even after saying so much, so he hit the nail on the head. Master Wu was silent for a moment. Then he looked around at everyone's faces and continued, those who enter the dream a second time will be trapped in the dream forever. After Master Wu said this, everyone broke down. Xiaoan's cries went from a low whimper to a heartbroken one. Tang Chuan was so agitated that he kicked over a wooden coffee table in the room. His leg was bruised. Qin Ning squatted down and hurriedly looked for the first aid kit to wipe the alcohol off Tang Chuan's face. Wei Liao also sucked in a breath of cold air. His entire body felt unwell. Jiang Shaowei held her husband's hand tightly. She wanted to comfort him, but she didn't know what to say. The professor and Lu Yen were calmer than the others. After all, they didn't have a deep relationship with Suyu. However, they knew that Suyu was doing this for everyone. Thus, their hearts were very heavy. Huamin had the biggest reaction. After hearing this, she turned around and grabbed Suyu's collar. Suyu, you liar. I asked you. I asked you in my dream, but you didn't say anything. Didn't you say you were fine? Why can't you come back? What? Tell me, why did you lie to me? You big liar, I'll never forgive you again. I'll never be good friends with you again. This was the first time Huamin was so hysterical. Qin Chu rushed forward and hugged Huamin tightly. Master Wu also tried to persuade him, you'd better not touch Suyu. If he moves away now, he might disappear in the dream. Huamin instantly stopped. Then, his eyes widened as he sat on the ground dejectedly. Master Wu, is there really no other way? You're an expert, please help us. Qin Chu looked at Master Wu and placed his last hope on him. Chapter 45:15. Without waiting for Master Wu to speak, Huamin said slightly, Can I replace him? I want to replace him. Let him come out and I'll go in, okay? Master Wu shook his head. I understand how you guys feel. Suyu is my disciple, and I've only taken in one disciple in my life. Naturally, I don't want anything to happen to him, but there's really nothing I can do about this. When Suyu entered the dream for the second time, I told him that there were only two outcomes if you went back this time. Firstly, the dream creator will kill you and your people. Secondly, if you successfully kill the dream creator, all your friends will come back, but you will stay in the dream forever. No one said anything and just listened quietly. Master Wu continued, I've emphasized the stakes many times, but Suyu still chose to do so. Obviously, you guys are more important to him than himself, so please respect his choice. Master Wu, what will happen to Suyu in the dream? Will he be in danger? What will he encounter? How is he going to live alone in the dream? Jiang Shaowei was indeed a psychologist. The questions she thought of were things that no one had thought of yet. She had already accepted the fact that Suyu was in the dream. However, she wanted to know what Suyu would be like in the dream after everyone left. What would he encounter? Would he be in danger? Sure enough, after Jiang Shaowei asked, everyone looked at Master Wu expectantly. It seemed like everyone wanted to know what Suyu would experience in the dream. Master Wu sighed. I've never experienced such a thing before, so I don't dare to speculate. However, based on my personal analysis, the dream creator is already dead, so he's naturally not in danger. However, all of you have left. He might be alone in the dream. No matter what he experiences, he's still alone. Because the dream creator is already dead, all the things created by the dream creator have collapsed. Suyu is the only real person left in the nightmare, so he might be the only one left. What's scary now is not whether he's in danger in the dream. The scariest thing is the endless loneliness. After Master Wu finished speaking, everyone understood what he meant. In Suyu's dream, he was neither old nor dead, he was not in danger, and he did not need to eat or drink. However, he was always alone and he had no concept of time. Just thinking about it made one feel despair. He didn't know where he had read this sentence before, but the scariest thing in the world was not death, nor was it the separation of life and death. It was the endless loneliness. When Lady Su heard this, she was already sobbing. You my silly child. What am I going to do if you do this? My heart hurts so much. Let me go in and be with you, my child. Mrs. Su cried her eyes out, especially when she saw with her own eyes that everyone had returned safely, except for Suyu, who was still asleep. Master Wu, how are we going to deal with him now? Lu Yen had been keeping a cool head. Suyu's soul seemed to be trapped in the dream and couldn't come back. Only a body was still in the real world as if it was asleep. To put it nicely, he was asleep. To put it bluntly, he was in a vegetative state. Master Wu glanced at the sleeping Suyu and felt extremely depressed. He might always be in a deep sleep like this, never aging or dying, but he'll never wake up. Should we send him to the hospital? Give him a nutrient drip or something? Lu Yen said. No, he doesn't need anything. He just needs to lie here quietly. What if Suyu's body is in the real world? What would happen if he died in the dream? Lu Yen asked. Master Wu looked at Lu Yen with a complicated expression. Chapter 45:16. He'll die even in the dream. From now on there will be no Suyu. No, I don't want it. Even if he doesn't wake up, I want his body to stay with me. No one is allowed to touch him. Lady Su was probably too worried, so when she heard Lu Yen and Master Wu's conversation, she immediately rushed over. She immediately rushed over to protect Su Yu, thinking that someone was going to do something to him. "Annie, don't worry. We will definitely protect Su Yu's body and not let him get hurt again." Qin Chu's voice was extremely hoarse. He felt extremely guilty towards Su Yu, but he was someone who could never express it. At this moment in the dream, seeing the dream crumble bit by bit, everyone left the nightmare. At that moment Su Yu felt relieved. He had entered the dream a second time for this moment. He was not a savior, he was just a man who was willing to protect the woman he loved. He was Su Yu. Su Yu had once fantasized about what would happen to him after he killed all the dream creators and his friends returned to the real world. However, at this moment he still felt inexplicably lonely. The dream creators were dead and all the illusory scenes collapsed. There was no Su Yu's villa, no South Hill Manor, and no Sea City. There was no Yunnan jungle or Arctic underwater world. All that was left in this world was a patch of gray. After that, there were no more tall buildings, no more heavy traffic. Su Yu walked alone in the endless desert. He didn't need water or food. He wouldn't age, he wouldn't die, and he didn't need to sleep. No matter how far he walked, he couldn't walk out of this gray desert. He knew that this was the incomplete dream after his friends left and the dream creators died. His world alone, he also knew that he would never be able to get out of here. Perhaps, he would be trapped here forever. After walking for some time, Su Yu was a little disappointed. He didn't have the courage to continue walking because no matter how long he walked, it was the same. This place would never change and there was no sound. It was as if he was the only one in the world. Yes, that's right, he was the only one in the world. Su Yu sat down tiredly and bent his knees. Then he reached out and grabbed a handful of sand. He thought of the first time he met Mian, that cold, domineering and sharp-tongued nurse who didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. He smiled. It was as if when he thought of Huamin's familiar face, Su Yu felt that everything he did was worth it. In this spacious and uninhabited place, Su Yu was so lonely that he wanted to cry, but he wouldn't. He knew that his friends had returned to the real world safely. This was the ending he wanted, wasn't it? After a while, Su Yu opened his mouth. He wanted to sing. Yes, he suddenly wanted to sing a song. That graceful and low voice rang out. "Just once is enough. I'll take you to see the end of time." Laughing on a sunny day, making noise in the free air. "Do you know that the only thing I want, the world is still small. I'll accompany you to the ends of the earth in a corner without worries. Stop searching, slowly grow old in a carefree time. Do you know that my heart is beating with you?" This was the love song that Su Yu sang to Huamin at the anniversary celebration in front of so many people. This was the first time he had sung a love song in his life. Even now he still liked it very much. If God gave him a chance to take care of Mian just once. Chapter 45-17. Su Yu, at South Hill Manor. Huamin suddenly woke up in the middle of the night and called out Su Yu's name. "Honey, did you have a nightmare?" Qin Chu quickly got up and hugged Huamin in his arms. Then he kept comforting her. He patted her back gently as if he was coaxing a child. "Honey, I heard Su Yu sing." Hearing Su Yu's name, Qin Chu's eyes dimmed. Su Yu's actions weren't approved by everyone, but Qin Chu understood him. If it were Qin Chu, he would have made the same choice as Su Yu. Su Yu was probably Qin Chu's most respected opponent and most special friend in his life. They fought side by side 4 times in the dream. They worked together to kill 4 dream creators. All of this was thanks to Su Yu. However, when everything was done and everyone had left safely, the situation had changed. Su Yu, on the other hand, was left there forever. As for them, there was nothing they could do. No one could do anything for Su Yu. They couldn't even speak to Su Yu anymore. Huamin had been in a daze recently. It had been almost a week since they returned to the real world. Everyone had accepted this cruel fact. Lu Yin and the professor had left. Lu Yin went to look for Qiao Fei. The professor returned to the headquarters to investigate the mastermind behind this incident. Gao Ran went back to work and Zhu Lingling took the children to school. Jiang Xiaowei resigned from her position at the city bureau and opened her own psychological clinic. Wei Liao's father officially retired, and the Wei family was officially taken over by Wei Liao. Tang Chuan, on the other hand, drank himself to death every day and didn't do his job. Qin Ning returned to work at GK and helped Qin Chu manage the company's business. Bella didn't become a vegetable. She was still working well. Jixin was taking care of his sickly mother at Sky Blessing Court. Rick went back to the United States to deal with the family business, while Cece stayed in the city to wait for delivery. The twins were picked up by Chin Chu from the Su family. At first, Pudding and Little Bean also cried sadly. Later they gradually accepted the truth. Little Bean didn't like to eat as much anymore. She started thinking about losing weight. Pudding, on the other hand, was even quieter than before. In Suyu's villa, Suyu's body fell into a deep sleep. Xiaoan wholeheartedly took care of his master. Master Wu didn't leave either and stayed in Suyu's villa. Lady Su would make all kinds of delicious food and send it to her son every day. Then she would chat with him for a while. Lord Su hadn't returned from the military region yet, so he didn't know about this yet. She heard that Mr. Su was seriously ill. His heart wasn't in good condition, so he went to America for surgery. The Su family used to be fine, but now they were homeless and miserable. Everyone had accepted the truth and was immersed in sorrow. Huamin's mental state became very bad. She started to be paranoid. Chin Chu had no choice but to take care of her carefully. After all, her due date was coming soon. Who knew when the child would be born? He still remembered what Suyu said to Chin Chu before he left the incubus. Take good care of this silly woman and give birth to Chin Guegua. Chin Chu recalled Suyu's expression and tone back then. He felt heartbroken. Mian, don't be too nervous. Relax. Chin Chu hugged her. Hubby, I'm not lying to you. Really, I think I heard Suyu sing. He sings very well, doesn't he? Every time he sings a love song he pretends to be very affectionate. When he comes back I'll definitely drag him to the KTV and sing a few songs for me. Chin Chu didn't say anything. After a while Huamin reached out and shook Chin Chu's index finger. Then she lowered her voice and asked, Hubby. Yeah. So you will come back, right? Huamin asked softly. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel? We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.